What's up, everybody? Welcome to the live stream on a Tuesday, although I don't even know what day of the week it is half the time anymore. We did a day early because I'm going to Orlando for a few days, and then I realized, oh, we're going to be gone on the normal theme park at night. So we switched up here a little bit, but we have some interesting topics to go over. We're going to talk about Star Wars. I think we might have some differing opinions, so it should be a good conversation there about maybe the state of it, like the Mando Grogu box office where it currently is. I guess our thoughts on Star Wars as a whole. That'll be controversial. Star Wars is very like middle of the road for most people. Nobody's gonna get mad or anything. You never know. Then we're gonna talk about some Disneyland stuff because you guys brought this to my attention. There may be some big changes potentially happening at Disneyland. We've got some stuff about Universal surge. That has some data behind it showing how much they've been growing the past decade. And then we didn't cover it last week because it broke after Theme Park last week. Talk about Carousel Progress, and they're redoing that entire ride, which, again, no controversies at all. People are going to totally agree on all this stuff, and probably some side quests we get along the way. Before I introduce panelists, I want to say hey to the chat here. We got Kiki and Luca. We got Theme Park Conductor. We got Theme Park Wizard, Storybook Sorceress, John Make It Rain, MagicalyMJ. What's up, MJ? We got Barry the Music Man. I am not a music man, so I appreciate if you can play music, you're better than me at that. Matthew the Cat, and we have Why is Gamora 3721? I wish they would let the old way where you actually like now it's all these handles that are really long. You used to be able to like change the name, and now it's like I'm trying to, it's like John 9586. What's up, Tunes?
What's up, Tones?
Tones always makes me feel better about myself. He's always like, these guys are just good-looking fellas in here, and I appreciate that. We also got Vinton Solar. But before we get to our topics here, I want to introduce our great panel that we have this evening. We have Mr. Orange Grove 55 as usual. What's up, Orange Grove 55? Where can they all find you out here on this wild, wild web?
Yeah, I thought we were going to say the Wild Wild West.
Now let me welcome everybody to the wild.
Nah, but you can find me.
Thumbnail if I was thinking about it, but my brain didn't go there.
But thank you so much, Jared and Vash, and great to be on a show with Logan, first time. But you can find me right here on YouTube, talking theme park, studio, all that good stuff. Orange Grove 55. We talk all kinds of stuff, really, but mostly theme parks. And you can also find me on Instagram, Orange Grove 55. And you can also find me on X, Orange Grove 55.
Absolutely. And real quick, Fort Misery Gaming says, why are we on vertical, Jared? So I'm trying this thing out where it has a vertical. I think it's for mobile. There's probably two streams. So if you have the vertical one, you can find it. I don't like how it does it. I may not do it anymore. I was just trying it out because some people have said they like it better on mobile. So if there'll be you can find the other stream where it's in the landscape mode. But we're also joined by Mr. Vash Sky, who is going to be doing our Madame Leota version. He's going to be his voice is going to emanate throughout this. He's having some camera issues, but he's still here. He's still Vash. He's done his research. How are you doing, Vash? And where can they all find you out there on the internet?
I'm doing pretty good. I do apologize for not being there. I guess I am stuck in the what is it? The Madame Leota type garb right there.
Hurry back. Hurry back.
You should have did an icon with your face and like the crystal ball.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, that's a good idea. Oh man, I know AI. Where's AI? Okay.
I know.
We'll get it going. But thank you so much for having me on, Jared, and awesome to have Logan on and OG55, of course. This is some fantastic stuff. Can't wait to go over today's topic. It's going to be absolutely amazing. But you can find me at Vash Sky ParkCast, where we are streaming tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern following that Park Place, talking about all kinds of stuff, maybe some stories that we are featuring today, maybe some stories that are brand new in terms of theme park coverage right there, but you can definitely join us on Vash Sky ParkCast if you like conversations like this, because man, I love talking about this stuff, and I love talking about this stuff with you guys, so thank you.
Absolutely. And we're also joined by Logan from Red Bandana Gaming. And little known fact about Logan here, I believe I have this correct. You have 1,000 Nintendo Switch games? Because I saw a picture on Instagram.
I'm right on the cusp. I'm about 20 away from 1,000 physical Switch 1 games. But if you add the Switch 2 games, then it's over 1,000. But
that is a collection physical. There. Good sir.
Yeah,
but
I've got a problem.
Don't.
But everybody who watches me knows I have a big problem with Nintendo Switch, and I love it. So.
Hey, if you're picking problems, that's not a bad one to have. But Logan obviously covers video games, but he also goes to the parks a lot. He lives right near Orlando, so he also did tell us he has opinions about theme parks. And I was like, this is not going to fit in here because we have no opinions on any of this stuff. But Logan,
but don't worry, they're not spicy at all. No, I'm not extremely opinionated on anything.
No,
because YouTubers aren't that way.
Nope. YouTubers are very, you're supposed to keep to yourself. But welcome to the show. And where can they all find you out there on the internet, good sir?
Well, Red Bandana Gaming right here on YouTube. I cover pretty much anything video game related, but my niche, I guess you could say the thing that I cover the most are controllers and gaming hardware. People love my controller videos. Anything else I do, they're like, nah, we ain't watching it. But otherwise, you can find me. I'm no longer on X. I've just kind of pulled away from a lot of my social media, so I'm really only active on Instagram, and I post here on YouTube. So that's it. But Red Bandana Gaming on both of those. So yeah, awesome. You guys can follow me there.
Absolutely. We'll go follow him there. And I will put a link in everybody's description in the comments on this. So go check them out. And we did have, where did that go? Jonas J. Campbell had a really good comment about Vash's appearance. Where did that go? I hate when it jumped on me. I'll find it. Hold on.
It jumps.
And I do want to say thank you, Keek and Luca, for gifting an OG55 membership. I appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely.
I appreciate
you. the one where he says he's got an aura of foreboding.
There it is. Yeah, Jonas. He's got an aura of foreboding. I mean, it is, listen, it is kind of intimidating. Just having his voice only. I feel like
you look over there and it's like,
like he's just going to strike down at any moment. But no, it's it'll be good. Yes, thank you, Kiki and Luca. And I don't know if you guys saw this or not. I'm not really, when it comes to theme park merchandise, I will say for the most part, I'm like, like most stuff, I'm like, oh, every once in a while, there's some stuff that pops up where I'm like, I really want that. And they actually had a couple of things in the Disney shop, and I did get one of them. They have the Holy Grail replica from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade and the Holy Grail tablet replica. I did get the Holy Grail. I ordered it. But like they also have, they came out with this hat, which apparently is sold out. But I really want this hat, and it's an Indiana Jones. I think it's the hat that Steven Spielberg was wearing whenever they were filming it, and it's this Indiana Jones hat. That hat is awesome. I need this hat like yesterday. Apparently, it's sold out. I'm going to see if it's there when we're in Disney. But I will say the merchandise for Indiana Jones. I can't say I'm happy where they've taken Indiana Jones, but I do like this merchandise. I will say.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I'm really wondering about the future of this franchise, right? Because Harrison Ford ain't getting any younger, let's be honest, right? And is Disney going to recast? Because if they recast, then you get into like an Alden Ehrenreich situation, right? With Solo.
Yeah.
You can do the AI thing, but that's a little risky too, right? So there's a lot of, maybe you can do animation going forward. I don't know. But I would hate to see this franchise kind of fizzle out because I think it's a beautiful franchise. I love Indiana Jones. So we'll see where they go with it.
Yeah, I think Indiana Jones, the first Indiana Jones, I think might be one of the more like almost perfect movies. It is just great. And like The Last Crusade, the way that ended, it's awesome. I honestly think if you really are serious, and this can go to a whole other comment about Lucasfilm, but if you really were serious about like doing Indiana Jones going forward, I think you just lay it low for a bit, and then you don't really have much to say about it. Maybe have some merchandise drops like this, and then just come out with like an awesome casting, and obviously have a good story along with it. I think you can do it with Indiana Jones. It's going to be really hard because obviously Harrison Ford is Indiana Jones, but like, I can't say I was happy to see like a really old man Indiana Jones. You know what I mean? I think you could do something in the future.
Or in video games. They just came out with, we had Great Circle, and it just recently released on the Switch too. Good reviews. People enjoy it. If you can't keep Harrison Ford alive, you can keep him alive in video game form.
True. Yeah. And I will say that game was actually pretty good. I played it. Actually, it had the pyramids in it, which I was sold on. Like, the minute they saw the pyramids and all that stuff, I was like, I love all that stuff. But the guy, Troy Baker, I think, is who voiced it.
Yep.
Sounds almost identical to Indiana, like Harrison Ford. It
sounds
crazy.
Eerily good.
Yes. So like video games would be a good medium to still maintain because I think there's still people that are into Indiana Jones, obviously. But when it comes to movies or shows, it's like, I just think you need space now between what they recently
And
did to the future.
making a video game, they can ignore the what is it? The crap. What is it called? The last one.
Dial of Destiny.
Dial of
There you go. See, I can't even remember what it was called.
So
blocked
memorable.
that
I was
memory.
like I didn't even bother. I even saw Crystal Skull in theaters. This one I went, nah.
Yeah,
Like,
Can I get a little spicy right now, Jared?
of course.
I mean, we're gonna dive into a little bit of theme park stuff. I'm just gonna pose a question. I because the community has been talking about it, right? Avatar at DCA, people have said we don't know the future because even Disney has said like we don't know. Like these movies are very expensive, and you know even Cameron came out and said the future of the franchise is really kind of like a big question mark. With Pandora coming to DCA, that comes into question. Do you think it's a smart move to do Indiana Jones and Animal Kingdom with Indiana Jones being a big question mark as well?
no, bring back dinosaur. Oh, I was mad. I was angry. I was viciously angry over that. That was the only reason I went to Animal Kingdom there and Nomad Lounge, because I would ride dinosaur 4 or 5 times a day. Favorite ride. My wife and I can recite the entire dialogue to the entire ride, pre-show and everything. So,
Wow.
bad idea.
But you know what, Logan? I'm telling you, you never been to California. I'm telling you that Indiana Jones ride is something else. I think you guys are really going to love it.
good.
But it
I've
doesn't
heard it
have
really good.
dinosaurs in it.
No, it doesn't.
That's why you go to
It doesn't.
Universal for the dinosaurs. Well,
Exactly. But
I
still,
think I think Indiana Jones, you can make an argument it could fit depending on how they do it. I think ideally I would love to see much more than just a single ride for Indiana Jones. I think it makes more sense in like Hollywood studios, but I think Animal Kingdom is
what
going
does
to
it have to do with animals?
well, and I think Animal Kingdom is going to become this like I don't want to say dumping ground, but like they're going to put a bunch of stuff over there because they need more stuff in that park. And unfortunately, I think the park's going to lose its identity a little bit because it's like I don't think a lot of the I think we're talking about theme parks. Like conservation is a part of it, but I don't think that's going to be a headlining thing. So I think
So
you're
just like Epcot.
kind of like Epcot. Yeah, that's a good point.
It's going to be the grab bag park. I mean, these individual theme parks that used to have a very distinct identity, that's obviously eroding. I mean, look at Disney's Hollywood Studios, for example, right? They used to be very much about a specific category of theme park, that being how movies are made and so forth. And we've seen that erode over the years. I think the Animal Kingdom going forward, like Jared said, they're just going to stuff everything that maybe is a loose fit in there. That's why Bluey's there, right? Even though, doesn't necessarily fit. No, but what is the park that needs it the most? Well, it's Animal Kingdom, and that's why it's in there, and that's why it's in Conservation Station.
Yeah.
What if they did something for Indiana Jones where it's a search for like a giant like dinosaur egg or something? Like, do you think that would be like enough tie-in to the park for something like that?
Yeah.
Or maybe even like a giant egg of some mythical creature. Something along
Iguanodon
those
egg.
lines. Yeah.
That would,
I mean, you could do it. I mean, I guess you could also do it to where it's like Indiana Jones proves dinosaurs weren't even real or something. Go real controversial. You know what I mean? I don't. There's definitely things you could do with it, and I think it tangentially fits in Animal Kingdom. He was a paleontologist or archaeologist, so it's like you can make it work.
snakes.
But I always point to when you're talking about Animal Kingdom, it's like, right, well, does it fit? Well, did a dinosaur carnival fit either? Like that whole thing was always so weird to me that you have this weird like dinosaur game area that's supposed to be, I don't know. Once you have that in there and like these off the shelf rides, I was just like, well, like how serious is this park about the actual theming of this? But I think you could probably make it work. But
Yeah,
I guess
absolutely.
But
And Kiki and Luca, I just want to say thoughts are with you in regards to your colonoscopy. I'm not 50, but I did have one a few years ago. I'm in my 40s, but those are not fun. Actually, the prep is the worst part, but you're going to do just fine, brother. Just hang in there.
They gotta clear you out to do those, don't they?
Yeah, you got to drink this like fluid stuff, and it's like a whole day and a half of like being in the bathroom, and it kind of sucks. It kind of sucks. But
A lot of YouTube on that. Jonas J. Campbell said, I'm kind of jealous of that state of Florida hat. You can find it at Bass Pro. That's where I got it today. My mother-in-law works there, and she told me about they had a bunch of new stuff in there, and I was like, I'm heading over to Bass Pro today. So that's where
Or you could just go to any plaza on the turnpike.
That's also true. Yeah, you can find that. Plenty of thrift shops. You can find all that stuff there. But All right, let's get into our first topic. And the first thing we are going to talk about is the never controversial Star Wars. And we're going to start this off by talking about the box office for Star Wars here. And I'm going to bring this up. Let me find which one I want to use. Here we go. I found it. Vash had a good link to this. So we are going to use this. And I think I have this one right. There we go. This comes from Luis Fernando. And it says, what was bad came worse as weekend actuals came lower for The Mandalorian Grogu with its biggest second weekend drop ever for a Star Wars film after grossing $24.4 million on second 3-day weekend. Shocking 70.1% drop from opening weekend versus Solo's 29.4 million, 65% drop, falling to number 3 below both Obsession and Backrooms, which are independent movies, I do want to point out. So it obviously had a big drop here. I think the projections at the box office at this point are somewhere maybe in the $300 million range. I don't know if it gets to 4 or not, but what are you guys' thoughts on Mandalorian Grogu? And I guess this is parlay into Star Wars kind of as a whole.
Okay, so I probably will have a different opinion than you three gentlemen on this, but maybe not too different, though. Maybe not too different. I'm going to start off by saying that I do think that for a Star Wars movie, it should be doing better than it is. I will say that.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, though, when Disney releases movies, right, in the past few years, the big talk was budget. The budgets are overblown. It can't make the money back because the budgets are so high, right? Dial of Destiny, we talked about that. That was a big example of that, right? I don't see, with the Hollywood trades, I don't see a whole lot of conversation around the budget for this movie. Now, look, that matters when we're talking about the financial success or failure, I think. The budget does matter, whether the budget is too high or lower. This movie cost $144 million with the California tax credit, right? There are Pixar movies that are that were more expensive than this. So I think that is something very important to bring up. I also want to bring up one more thing. I'm going to just share my screen real quick, Mr. Jared.
Yeah.
Because I just want to make my point, and then you guys can counter what I'm saying. But I made this tweet, and this is actually my buddy Seymour Duck, who I love Seymour. Big shout out to Seymour. But it had a huge drop, and there's no denying that. But Seymour brought to my attention, and I think he brought up a fair point, and I just want to bring up a little context. He's saying that when a movie debuts on a Memorial Day holiday, it's front-loaded. So the next weekend is going to have a bigger drop because of that front-loading. Now, Seymour, I got a lot of crap in the comments. I was copium and the whole thing. You wouldn't believe it. I can show you the comments. I cope, right? Now, he asked Grok, though. Now, Grok is not, some... it's Elon Musk, okay, right? It's not, Grok is saying here, front loading means a big chunk of a film's total earnings gets crammed into the opening weekend, especially holiday ones. Around Memorial Day, families and fans pack theaters during the long holiday weekend and hype, inflating the first weekend hard. Once the holiday ends, the next weekend often drops 60 to 70%, which we saw here, because many who wanted to see it already did. The 69% drop here looks rough, but it's textbook for holiday front-loaded releases. It doesn't automatically mean the movie bombs. So, and look, I want to make it very clear. I am glad Kennedy's gone. I'm not apologizing for, I think this studio has a lot of work to do. At the same time, this was a film on a small budget based on a streaming show. I don't think it's fair to place the same standard on this movie as you would maybe a Force Awakens or something like that. That's kind of where I stand with this. So I think there's a little gray area here where I think, yes, it could do better. At the same time, I don't think it means the franchise is dead. If the franchise was dead, I could tell you right now, I wouldn't have all these comments coming at me. There's a lot of passion in these comments. You know what I'm saying? This is not a franchise that's dead when so many people come out to argue with you. I can tell you right now, if I made a tweet about Popeye, no one's going to care.
Well, I would my argument, and I'll let you go back. I heard you say that. I was just going to say, I think a lot of the Star Wars conversation gets around the anger at Star Wars and where it's at. And I think it's still, I guess, is something ever actually dead? I think if it's not dead, it is it's being drugged behind a horse and buggy, and it's really struggling here. Not to say that somebody couldn't come rescue it and maybe do something with it and
That's
nurse
a
it
nice
back to
way of
health.
saying that.
Yeah, but
Very nice way of saying that.
But like in a way, it's like it is a shell of what it was. And you know, you're not wrong about the weekend drop-offs of Memorial Day, but I would also point to The Force Awakens had 39% drop-off. That was probably the peak that you would have seen people really be into the Star Wars stuff. And so the budget being lower is true, but obviously, and Vash had this tweet here as well. I think this movie needs to be, you know, somewhere between 500 and 600 million to break even. I do not believe it is going to hit that. Vash said here, it says tracking at 350, but Vash, what do you say?
Yeah, I think Luis Fernando has it tracking between 335 and 365 at the end of its global run right there, which is not good. that you do not want a movie like that to be there. It's really interesting about front loading. In fact, Luis Fernando actually did some analysis on last year's The Final Reckoning, and that only dropped 57%, and that was with Lilo and Stitch as competition, and it had 443 theaters less than Mando and Grogu did, which is not fantastic right there. So in terms of being front loaded or that drop off that we are seeing from Memorial Day, yes, it absolutely happens. But even in last year's case, it wasn't as nearly as disastrous as Mandalorian and Grogu. The other thing too is that it started so low. You would have thought that it wouldn't have necessarily dropped that much. The fact that it did is just not good. And I will agree with you. It is a sub franchise, right? This isn't a prominent piece of Star Wars lore. Maybe, you know, with Solo, it's kind of interesting. That's a marquee character, right? And the fact that this is doing very similar, I think should be concerning. But with those projects, it's not necessarily featuring like the original cast. It's not really necessarily dealing with the Skywalker lineage or saga. So I think that certainly has something to do with it. It's really interesting. I believe, what was it, Bob Iger revealed, I think it was last year, because I'm looking back in my notes, WW Pro actually wrote a very interesting article on how Lilo and Stitch was actually doing better business when it came to merchandise sales than Star Wars was at the time. Because I think it was Mickey Mouse was doing one of the top, right? And then you had Lilo and Stitch. And then somewhere along the line, Star Wars came out after that. I think Lilo and Stitch was doing, I think, according to this, $4.42 billion in merchandise sales. And in 2020, Star Wars was doing $3 billion in merchandise sales. And so it's like, you know, are we heading in the right direction with this brand? Obviously not. I think people are less enthused about this brand than they have been for a while. And the unfortunate thing is that May the 4th showed that if you celebrate Star Wars in the right way, if you give, you know, Star Wars fans what they want, they will actually show up. It's just we haven't seen that. We've also seen this affect like the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, right? Jared, we went over the wait times with those, with the update and pre-update, post-update. It was the same. It was absolutely the same. And so when you look at the overall trajectory of this franchise and how it's matured and so forth, it's going to be a long road back up. That's just, I think Mandalorian and Grogu, the film, proves that. I think the Mandalorian and Grogu update to Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run proves that. I think the lower merchandise sales from their highs in 2016, which they were making about $5 billion in merchandise sales, I think it all kind of shows that this brand has atrophied in terms of the enthusiasm from the public. And to restart that, even with Kathleen Kennedy gone here, it's going to be a big task. I'm not quite sure where you go with this. In terms of this specific movie right here, if Hollywood Reporter is accurate in their reporting, which they say they are, this will be a multi-million-dollar loss right here. Now, maybe they can make it back with merchandise. I'm not saying that they couldn't. But this is a big whiff right here for Star Wars' first film in theaters in 7 years.
Now, Vash, I want to ask you a question. Do you feel like if this movie, because I feel like The Mandalorian and Grogu as an IP, right, that show, is probably the most successful element of the whole Disney era, right? More culturally speaking. I think that it's been way more successful than the sequel trilogy culturally, right? It moved the needle when the show was in its heyday. Do you feel this movie could have done better if maybe they would have released it maybe 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago?
I
After
think
season 2.
Yeah, Logan is exactly right. I'll go ahead and get to Logan right now. I think if this show were to premiere after season 2, no question you probably look at double the box office that we're seeing right now, honestly. I mean, it was very, very big. But unfortunately, season 3 was bad, but man, there was a real big split that occurred, post Cara Dune. It's just this, when Gina Carano was fired the way she was, that kind of sentiment when it came to the culture war started to be, started to come into play. You started maybe seeing a little bit more toxicity when it came to the conversations and discussions around this whole thing, and then the fan base was fractured. And so when season 3 didn't deliver, that kind of confirmed a lot of people's woes with this franchise. And then obviously not the best momentum going into this film. But Logan, go ahead.
No, that's exactly what I was going to say, because season 2, if this came out right after season 2, we would see, I dare I say, triple the numbers. Wow. Like the thing is, if, for example, like anytime I go to Disney, anytime I go to Universal, you know how many Grogu shirts you still see?
I'm telling you.
If all those people wearing those Grogu shirts just went to go see the movie, the opening weekend, I don't think we'd be at this. But it's now just become, hey, we liked it from season 1 and season 2, but even myself, I watched season 3, and at the end of it, I was just like, what? It's not about Mando and Grogu. It I don't know. It was, especially the Jack Black episode was just.
Don't forget Lizzo.
I think especially in this season 2 when you had Luke. Right. And what people really wanted, and when Disney bought Star Wars, a lot of people envisioned a powerful Luke and what he was going to be able to do and telling that story going forward. So you got a glimpse of that, and people went nuts for it. You're right. If this movie would have came out after that, and maybe there was some sort of tie-in, maybe this would have been a jumping board to some sort of Luke story. You really could have had something here.
Shoot, even if season 3 did not have Bo-Katan, my opinion, it should have had Cal Kestis. That would have been the perfect place to introduce him into the TV franchise or movies. That would have been the perfect jumping point. Have Grogu tie in with Cal Kestis. If you weren't going to use Luke, that would have been perfect. It would have been so much better. But hey, I've got my opinions on, because I love those Star Wars games. The Jedi ones with Cal Kestis, love them.
Those are good games.
I think that should have been where it went. But hey, that's just me. What do I know about Star Wars? I'm just a video game YouTuber. I don't know anything.
Well, no, you also got to think too. Book of Boba Fett came out. That was part of the Filoniverse. And
the first half was okay. The back half was Power Rangers on bikes.
Yes, exactly. That's why
I love Power Rangers. That was terrible.
And then all of a sudden, that show is like, all of a sudden, it was Mandalorian for 2 episodes. And you're just like, what?
Right.
Like, it just out of nowhere, it just became the Mandalorian. And I think this is also an issue of having a TV show or a streaming show that you now just put into the movie theaters. And a lot of the assumption is like, well, everyone has seen it. There's a lot of people that don't have Disney Plus. And I think this goes into like, we've seen them try the, and I think Disney might have got the idea for this because Moana 2 was going to be a streaming show that they converted into a movie and they made $1 billion. And they were like, oh, let's just do this because we can actually monetize this. But I think Moana and where Star Wars is very different. And I think this is a really good lesson in like, in my opinion, they took season 4 and decided to just split it into a movie.
Yes. Now, Jared,
that's what it feels
let me ask you a quick question real quick.
Yep.
Serious question. Would this movie have done better if we would have had a Taylor Swift original song in it?
Only if Bob Iger announces it. It did. It's $1 billion. Right off the bat. Retire the golden cardigan. He saved Star Wars. He rides off to the sunset.
Come on, bro. I mean, come on. That all they had to do was that.
I mean, you're not wrong. It couldn't have hurt anything, I guess, is the argument. It's like, I don't know if it could have made it worse.
The Super Bowl ad didn't get you excited to get you in here? Come on.
Gosh.
Go ahead.
I never saw the Super Bowl ad.
Well, you weren't missing anything. And here's the thing. The Super Bowl ad was a huge fumble by Disney, right? We waited all that time. But mind you, now for the like a month into this movie premiering, they were on full promotional blitz with Grogu. He was on like Good Morning America and everything, right? This guy was everywhere. Okay. But leading up to the Super Bowl, though, we didn't see anything for this movie. Right. And Star Wars fans were like, finally, we're going to see some footage of the movie. And they did some spoof of like the old Budweiser Clydesdale horse ad.
Yeah, that was
like wild.
Bro, that was like the biggest fumble. I think that hurt the movie. I really, really do.
Well, yeah, of course it did. When you have quotes coming out of Variety from these guys explaining the ad, it's like, okay, that's both, obviously you failed, but also that's a little bit of recovery that you're trying to do for this $10 million investment, or maybe it was more. I don't even know. It could have been 20 million. Look, that just did not set the tone, I think, and I do believe, and you saw the response too from a kind of a more cinematic trailer that premiered, I think, a week after or something like that, which is very, very interesting. But I think Lucasfilm had the idea of releasing the Rey movie in 2025, this movie in 2026, and then James Mangold's movie in 2027. I think that was the initial idea when this was confirmed here, which, I mean, I suppose you can do. It's interesting to rate the prospects of this movie with that context, but I think that's what they intended. And then when the Rey movie didn't happen because I don't know what Bo Bacon was doing or whatever, I don't know how that all transpired.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, actually, never mind."
Now this tie-in that was supposed to continue Mando and Grogu's story now becomes like the anchor or the prime, piece of material coming out of Lucasfilm in 7 years, and so. It was just poor planning, right? The disorganization from Lucasfilm, not understanding where to go with this franchise. I think all of these things are culminating in this place in which you're seeing diminished both enthusiasm, box office returns, and so forth.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, and I think, somebody said here, Freedom Seeker said there's also the Pedro fatigue factor that they aren't talking about as a reason too. It might have something to do with it. But given you mostly don't see his face, I mean, I get that aspect of it. The idea of the Mandalorian, I thought was really cool. It's like a Western Star. It took you off of the Skywalker trilogy. It was different. I was like, okay, this is cool. And I think what's also happened is the biggest thing that caught on was Baby Yoda Grogu. It was like all the cutesy thing. You can't keep that up forever because I've gotten to the point. I have small kids. The first time Mando came out, I was in on like. You got to protect this baby, the fatherly instincts. I get it. I'm to the point now. I'm like, punt that thing out of the stadium. I'm so tired of it. Like, how long is this 50-year-old baby going to be a baby? Like, at some point, it's like it never graduates.
I have to admit, I've fallen completely like victim to that whole Grogu thing. Like when he was interviewed recently, and they were like, it was like a cooking show or something. And he was like trying the food. He tried a lemon and he shook his little head. I'm like, oh my God, how do you not love this little guy? I fell prey to it because it is very easy to like love this kid. He's a great little character, but does that translate to box office receipts? I don't know. Merch wise, I don't know. Maybe right now they're selling a lot more merch than they used to. That wouldn't surprise me because he is adorable. You can see here. I mean, he's cute.
Grogu's just a marketing tool. It was just to bring in more children and women. That's it. Because the guys were like, oh, Mando, badass. We got awesome Mando. We want to be like him. Cool Western. And then like, how do we get the other segment of the audience? Cute little baby Yoda. So they bring in Grogu.
Which is not the worst idea in the world. It's just how compelling. Sense. Yeah, how compelling does that remain?
How long will it last?
Right, exactly. And so now we're in the situation in which we've had mediocre storytelling. And we have compelling characters on their own, but then because we don't see growth from any of those characters, now it's like, what is keeping us invested? Because it's not the storytelling, and it's not the characters that don't grow. Like, what am I getting out of this? And that might be why some people are kind of falling off on the wayside.
Well, and Vash, you bring up an interesting point, right? Where like with Grogu, that's like their little $1 billion baby. The way he is people love the way he is.
Right.
But you also need the story to progress, right? But if he grows up now and he starts to talk, or he, you run the risk now of like, ooh, we don't like him. Like that doesn't like his voice. Like you run the risk of like ruining the character now. So Disney's really painted into a corner because this version of Grogu is like what we all love. But if he becomes like teenage Grogu, are we going to still like him? I don't know.
Yeah,
No, but they had no problem doing that with Luke. They turned look what they turned Luke into. Oh, who cares about Luke? Let's make sure we save Grogu. Make sure he stays the same. But screw Luke, the one that brought all the millions of fans. Screw that guy.
Well,
Also,
and
be
give
kind
it
of
up
funny
to.
oh, go ahead.
Okay.
Josh.
Well, no, I was just going to say real fast, give it up to James Gunn, by the way, because at least he took a chance with his Groot character by showing us multiple versions of him over time. Well, it's a really kind of interesting way to go about it. I don't know if I would have necessarily made that same call, but it was effective and it did actually pay off to see this dynamic character. And maybe that's limited when it comes to Yoda or Yoda's race, right? Because we know that they live for like 1,000 years, and so that time distillation stretched out with somebody like Grogu. So perhaps we don't actually get that. Maybe there's some lore that could maybe advance the story at one point, but we don't actually know. It's a very interesting thing. Go ahead, Jared. Sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say it'd be kind of funny if Grogu was like, Mando is trying to keep him from sneaking out of the house, and like he catches him doing stuff, and you got the weird, awkward Grogu voice as a teenager. It's cracking. Like, it would be funny. But you can do this. Actually, Stranger Things is a kind of a good example. Like that show started, they were like cute kids. And then eventually, obviously, those kids grow up, and that show changed how those kids were treated. Even like Hopper, how he interacted with Eleven and things. So, like, you can do it. It's just, I think a lot of this is the apathy of Star Wars. You had a show that progressively, in my opinion, has gotten worse as the seasons have gone along, and then you came out with a movie at the bad time. So again, if this was after season 2, this probably would have been much better. But it's also like, where's Star Wars going? I think there's other thing too. It's like nobody knows what's happening here. I'm not saying everybody, but for the most part, people did not catch on to the sequel trilogy. And so it's like, where are you taking this? So getting invested into this story, it's like, what are we doing? And I think that's a lot of this as well.
Yeah, is it the Marvel thing? Where are we going? What are we doing? But go ahead, OG, because this is very interesting.
Yeah, no, you're no, absolutely, Vash. Well, Kiki and Luca, a friend of the channel, we love Kiki and Luca, but he's saying, what does the panel think about Starfighter? And I gotta say, I'll start off. I don't really know much about it. Now, I like Ryan Gosling. I like what I've seen so far, but there isn't much information. But that movie, though, okay. Now, Mando and Grogu is a streaming show. Well, Mandalorian is a show that they turned into a movie, right? This Starfighter has more writing on it, though. Way more writing on it. This is a theatrical thing all the way through. So this thing has to hit. Go ahead.
The thing is with Starfighter, my first introduction to it is actually almost 20 years ago. And Starfighter's been a thing way before they even announced a TV show, and that was from the games.
Right.
So how are they going to, my thing is, are they even going to acknowledge what came before it? Or are they just going to poo-poo on it like all Disney Star Wars does to anything that came out during the Lucas era? So I like Starfighter as it was, but are they really going to respect it in the new one?
Let me ask you this, Logan, because, okay, so we have new leadership both at Disney with Josh D'Amaro, right? And then we have Kathleen Kennedy's gone. We have Dave Filoni. Do you think, no, I agree with you. I think it's time for a fresh start on both fronts, 100%. And we're going to get into Bob Iger. Jared loves him, but I disagree. But anyway.
I'm an Eisner guy.
Yeah, no, but do you think that Filoni, because Filoni is kind of a
Filoni, I'm gonna stop you right there and say Filoni is Kathleen Kennedy's new plant.
Yeah.
Wow, really? You think so?
Well, think about it this way. Anything that Kathleen Kennedy wanted him to do, he said yes, as long as he got his Ahsoka show. So, and it feels like he hasn't gone and stuck to all the stuff that George Lucas put him in there with the Clone Wars and everything. It feels like as long as he gets his Ahsoka, that's all he cares about. But as time has gone on, I think it's a Favreau thing not a Filoni thing. I think Filoni needs to go in order to really give us a fresh start, because he feels like he's just one of the tentacles of Kathleen Kennedy. I think it should be Favreau and somebody else. If not, what's his name? Bring in Whitmer.
Yeah, Sam Witwer would be.
There you go, Whitwer.
Great.
Darth Maul.
Yeah.
Well, and like,
if not, just bring in Star Wars Theory. Let him run everything.
Well, and I think you look at that, like, I agree. Filoni is my whole issue with Lucasfilm is Kathleen Kennedy leaving is not going to solve the problems of Lucasfilm, because you have like 1,000 or more Kathleen Kennedys in the building. Yeah. So if you really wanted to fix
all of her spider eggs through everything,
right, you're gonna have to gut it and start from scratch. Yeah. I don't think they have the fortitude to do that right now. I think they still think they can find a way with this, and maybe they can. But I think that this is not going to be like, even if Mando Grogu came out and it was amazing and it knocked a box office success, it still doesn't fix Star Wars. It's going to take multiple movies and the actual direction of this stuff. So you didn't ruin you might have kind of ruined Star Wars with one movie, but it won't be fixed with one movie. I completely
agree with you. There's a lag to all this stuff, right? Like, I mean, even when John Lasseter came in to fix Disney animation, it took years, like 3 or 4 years to kind of get, because you're always going to have these movies are in production for 3-4 years, right? So you're going to have that residual stuff from the prior administration, so to speak. So Filoni is going to need a little bit of time to sort of put his imprint, because a lot of the stuff, even Starfighter, I mean, that's still a Kathleen Kennedy thing, though.
Yeah.
I mean, her fingerprints are all over it. Go ahead.
Well, wasn't that a Favreau thing?
I don't know if it is or not. I know it's being directed by Sean Levy. I do know that.
Right.
But my thing about the Starfighter movie, and like, I love Ryan Gosling. That has me interested, and you're telling a different type of story. But this one as well, the story of this is, it says as a washed up pilot who takes in a force sensitive boy on the run from formidable villains. So yet again, we have a strong protagonist protecting a child, which is very much similar to Mando and Grogu. So it's like we're doing this same story type. Now, maybe it'll work, and who knows? But I think I guess the question I would also pose is, like, if you were tasked with fixing Star Wars where it currently is, I think the first thing you have to do is you have to look at this and say, where is it? How far has it fallen? And then what's your game plan back? And my personal opinion is you need to go silent. And I'm talking no shows, no movies.
For a decade.
For maybe, if not even long. And that's the thing. Like, maybe you have some games and you have things that you celebrate May the 4th and all this stuff like that. But you really figure out where you want to take this. Do you want to take this in the far distant future? Do you want to take this in the Knights of the Old Republic type of direction? Or, you've got all the extended universe books you could still pick from to choose something. And then you would have to just absolutely nail the casting and just tell a great story and just almost start from scratch. And I'm saying it's possible to do it. I just don't think that Disney paid $4 billion to do this. I don't think they're going to let that happen that way, if I were to guess.
Well, I think...
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, I think they do have a tool. If you've watched, Star Wars Rebels, what they did with Ahsoka, there's an easy way to reset the timeline. They can take a movie, take a show, reset the timeline, and then you can just say it skews off or say things change, and then turn Disney into like the fan fiction legends, and then bring back the EU into, actual timeline.
You're talking
it can happen. It can easily happen.
What's that thing called again? That I know what you're talking about. I can't remember what they called it.
The World Between Worlds.
World Between Worlds. Yes. Yeah. They brought in like a time travel aspect into this.
It could work. It's an easy fix, but Disney doesn't want to fix it. They want their Disney trilogy, and that's the problem. I think DeMauro needs to step back, look, and go, all right, this is broken. Favreau, fix it. If you guys don't fix it, you're all out. I'm bringing in new people.
Well, let me ask you guys this, because under George Lucas, right, it was one dude kind of running the whole show, right? So under George Lucas, we didn't get a whole lot of Star Wars stuff. I mean, it was the original, it was the OT. We waited a really long time, and then we got the prequels. I think we had that Clone Wars animated thing somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but he wasn't dropping a whole lot of stuff, right?
That's not true. We actually got a ton of comics, a ton of novels, and a ton of video games. So just because the mainstream didn't see movies doesn't mean we didn't get a lot of stuff. Like if you paid attention to, especially the gaming world, so many games that came out between Super Nintendo, PS1, and Xbox era that most people don't even know exist. There's even games like Masters of the Terra Kasai. Have you heard of that one?
I've heard of it. I never played
Yeah,
it,
see, and there was a ton of stuff that expanded on the lore that just people didn't really pay attention to. So
Well, don't worry. We got LucasArts, and so that's going to be just a game changer. It's going to be fantastic. Don't even worry about it. Now that we bought Lucasfilm, we can really turn this.
Don't
thing
get me
around.
started on that.
Well, let me ask you this, Logan, because that you actually kind of segued perfectly into what I wanted to ask you. Do you think Disney should go back to that model? Do you think Disney should go back to the model of like maybe less mainstream releases, movies, what have you? Maybe you fill in those gaps with comics and video games, but kind of not have Star Wars be this content machine where we're getting a movie every other year, things like that. Do you think they should go back to that? Do you think that would benefit the franchise, or where do you stand with that?
There's this expression that's been around forever: less is more. If stop flooding the market, people won't get tired of it. They'll actually want it again. I don't know. Well, you guys are in your 40s for the most part. I'm to be honest, I don't know how old Vash is.
24.
Yep, absolutely. Going on 25.
Because I remember when the prequel trilogy came out, everybody wanted it. It didn't matter. I loved them because I was born in 83, so I was not alive yet for when Jedi came out. So these were the first ones I got to see in theaters. I was clamoring for Star Wars, so I was buying all the games, everything, and that was it. We got nothing. So whenever more games came out, I was buying the games. Whenever I saw the few comic book series came out, I wanted that. So I bought those. And that's what I think Disney needs to do. Stop with all these awful books. Like the High Republic was just awful. Drop all that. Just push yourself away from that. Maybe create some stuff back in the, I don't know, in the prequel or the George Lucas trilogy, the original trilogy eras. Make stuff like that there, and then drip feed it to people to actually get them to want it again. But I don't know. I actually think we're in that point where it's too late. I honestly feel that it might be too late.
When Disney bought this, right? They bought all of Lucasfilm, obviously, with a bunch of franchises associated with it, and they started ramping up production. They started ramping up the infrastructure and everything else. The problem with going dark is that all the people that you've hired in order to facilitate these films, do you fire those people? I mean, that's the big question right there. And then if you want Jon Favreau to come in, which, I mean, I'm not letting him off the hook because he directed this thing.
Agreed.
At the end of the day. And we don't even know if he does want to actually lead something like Lucasfilm. But if we want Jon Favreau to be part of this, well, then that job's got to go dark as well. So I think there's a lot of different issues with going dark that maybe people necessarily haven't thought about when it comes to running this kind of big machination of Lucasfilm the way it is. I do agree with you, though. I think there must be a hunger there. But I mean, to do what George Lucas did, with the comics and LucasArts and everything else. I mean, the story group has really been a huge impediment to getting great Star Wars content. Ancillary content to support this franchise. That's not been doing well at all. And so, when you're in Dave Filoni's shoes, man, where do you even go? What do you even how do you even try to restart this engine right here? Obviously something needs to happen, but I don't even know how you chart a course for this. And that really goes back to not having great leadership at the start of it. When Bob Iger said, hey, we need a film a year, and Kathleen Kennedy, not the gal to deliver that effectively, just really put it on a path of, I don't even know where to begin to recover from this. When you have Mandalorian Grogu's update to Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run doing nothing in terms of business, that really says something to me, that there's just the lack of enthusiasm is certainly there. And I don't know how you get it back.
Well, it's tough, Ash, because Disney's kind of in a predicament, right? Where people love the OT, no doubt about it.
Right.
But I also feel like people are hungry to kind of do other things though too with Star Wars. So go into the OT, like let's say the next movie, hypothetically, right? they do a movie about Luke or characters from the OT era. That's risky because now you're messing with the OT. Now it's also potentially a plus because it's Luke Skywalker, right? But it's also a negative because now you're messing with the OT characters, right? So it's kind of tough. But then if you go, okay, let's say, well, we'll do like 3,000 years ahead, and none of the Skywalkers will be involved. Well, then you don't have your selling point though. It's less risky because you're not messing with the original characters. So it's like this thing where it's like they're kind of like in a spot, right? Where like if they do the OT thing, they're under a microscope because it's characters everyone is like grown up with since like the the 70s. If they don't do the OT thing, then it's like, well,
I have a solution.
What's that?
Cal Kestis.
We go 1,000 years from the Galactic Civil War into the past, right? And we do the what is it? The Rising Republic. What do they call it again?
The Old Republic?
Not the Old Republic. Right after that.
Oh, I forget what that's called, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. You do something like that. Maybe you have like this mystery with twins or something, and then you can. Oh wait, no, that was the Acolyte. Oh man, we can't do that.
Wow, I hate your face right now. I'm glad.
Oh, Vash!
Now we got to kick Vash. Now Vash is out.
The High Republic. Yes, I forgot about that. Yeah, no, that's just it. I mean, I think Logan, you brought up the Old Republic. I think that's like the fertile ground for something to really emanate from. But the problem is do we necessarily trust leadership to actually pull it off effectively? That's the big problem right there, right? Even if you do have a chart of course, do you have the manpower or
that's why
power,
I keep coming back in. I feel like a broken record. I feel like a broken record when I say Cal Kestis, because that was a good story from Disney Star Wars, and it's in the OT era. Why? It's sitting right in front of you. Bring him in. Well, bring a new movie featuring Cal Kestis. Maybe if you want to try a trilogy, people like him. I don't understand the problem with this. I mean, it's tried and true. It's proven. The last 2 games have proven it. People like it. I bought his lightsaber at Disney, for God's sake. So I'm like,
it wouldn't be a bad choice. I think the thing that in my opinion, what Star Wars actually is, what Disney paid $4 billion for, was Darth Vader, Luke, Han, Leia. That is what Star Wars is. So essentially, to go further, you have to reestablish what this is with good storytelling. So if it was me, like and I agree, I don't know where in the world you take this. I think maybe a long shot you could do is, let's say you go 1,000 years or sometime in the future. At the same time, when you're setting that up, give people what they've actually wanted, which is, Luke at full power. What was he able to do? You have a side movie maybe about that fills in some of these gaps, that maybe also does have some sort of leading into this new thing that you're doing. Like maybe that could be something that would work. But I think a lot of the issues people have with Star Wars is you never got that fan service that people wanted. They got that season 2 of Mando with Luke. That was a great glimpse of that, but it was just almost like a tease. It was like, well, we want more of this. Like there's Darth Vader stories you could tell. There's the extended universe has tons of stories you could tell. I think it's just like what you were saying, Vash. It's like, even if you grabbed and said, we're going to do this story everyone wanted from the extended universe, you don't trust Lucasfilm to actually tell that story because they're going to change all this stuff up and do something different. And I think that is the thing. So like they have to earn back trust. And I don't think it's dead. I agree. Nothing I don't think is completely gone. No. But how far this has fallen. I mean, they will write books on this about like, how did you mess up a cash cow like Star Wars and fixing it? I have no clue. And that's the thing. It's like, but I don't know if they recognize that they need to fix. I mean, you would think they would, but like, do they really recognize where this is right now?
They don't want to admit it. They don't want to admit their fault. And the thing is, there's so many good sources that you can just pick from the past. If you're just like, all right, let's play it safe. Why don't we ever see Dash Rendar again? Why did I ever see a Shadows of the Empire movie? Just make that into a movie. Such a fantastic story. Play it safe.
I think Disney does admit it, but they don't admit it directly. And what I mean by that is, like, for example, with the theme park stuff, right? They completely axed the timeline in Batu. It's gone.
Well,
We have the
you-
OT
well, for you
now.
guys.
Well, for us, yeah, out here in the out here in the West Coast.
West Side.
Well, we're gonna get fixed. They're gonna fix us. They'll fix you.
No, they'll get you
Well-
guys. They'll get you guys. And honestly, I do believe, in all seriousness, they will come to Orlando, because I think out here in California we have much more locals. We need that churn more than you guys, because you guys have a lot more like out of state, out of country tourists. So there's not as much of a need to change it constantly compared to out here in California. But besides that, they have admitted, at least in the theme park space, that they were wrong. That the timeline is gone. We got the OT in there now. They admitted it, but now they're not going to admit it though. They're not going to post a blog post about it.
Yeah.
But they're
That's
going to
how they admit it. It's like, we're sorry. Here.
We're sorry. Here's Luke, Leia. Here's Han. Yeah, they're saying it without saying it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think we'll get that. But we got to give Filoni a little bit of time to cook, though, to be fair to Filoni. Now, he might suck. I don't know. He might suck. But, like, he needs at least a few years. This movie is still a Kathleen Kennedy era project, to be fair.
See, I want to ask you something. Since I've never been to Disneyland, how is Batu dead over there as it is over here? Because you can go to Hollywood Studios at any given day of the week, and it's dead over there.
It's
No
interesting.
matter what you do, it's dead over in Galaxy's Edge.
It was. I think the music, I'm telling you, even without any other changes, that John Williams score. John Williams is a god of this of music. I mean, I love the stuff he does. Just walking into that land and having his music playing changed everything for me. I mean, it's incredible. So it has gotten a little busier, a little bit, you know, but I mean, we'll see. You know, it has work to do. It definitely does. You know, they have to. Honestly, I think we need to get that sit down restaurant that they promised us. Put that in there, because I think the Oga's Cantina thing is nonsense. You go into Oga's Cantina and you're like on a stop. They're like clocking you. Okay, you got 45 minutes. You know?
Well, that was supposed to be the lounge.
Last time I went, they didn't really.
For us, yeah. I mean, for the last time I was there, they were like clocking us like, oh, okay, it's time, 45, you got to get out. It's like, come on, this is not.
Wait, how are they just paying attention to everybody? And was the place packed?
It was
It's by
pretty busy.
server.
Yeah,
it
the
was pretty
server.
busy.
Because I was at the bar. I just stood at the bar, and the place was half empty.
Wow.
Well, if it's half empty. I mean, ours in Hollywood Studios, I mean, if it's a real busy day, there'll be people in there, but on a typical day, it's not that packed in there. And I do agree. I think I think a lot of the ops they have to figure out in Disneyland first, and they port it over. So I do think it comes. But my question about this is, if this movie ends up at $350 million, clearly, and if you know how the box office works, I know the budget. If you throw in marketing, you're probably talking, I don't know, 250 million, somewhere around the ballpark. It's going to be close to 300 million, maybe for the all in. But the box office tickets, it's by half, because you got to do that split. So this movie needed to make 500, 600 million. How are they going to, I want to say, spin this? That's my question about going forward. How does this be handled from a PR perspective? And does DeMauro, because, you got to think, if he could hang his hat on anything, I'm the guy that fixed Star Wars. You would think this would be a priority. Like, how much, I
Blame
guess.
it on Iger.
Well, yeah, hey, that wouldn't be a bad idea. But okay, let me ask you, Vash, actually, this is a good question for you. You actually might know this, right?
Yep.
You and I have done a ton of content together. We got a huge history. Back in the day, I think we've done videos on it with Avengers Campus, right?
Mm-hmm.
The marketing budgets, right, for the MCU shows and like the character meet and greets and all that stuff in Avengers Campus were shared.
Yes.
Is there a possibility? And again, this is me speculating. I don't know. Maybe you've heard something. I don't know. But like, is that Disney's way out, where the marketing for the promotion of the attraction is separated? They're technically promoting the movie, but it's not though, right? Like that kind of the shell gamey stuff. Is that a possibility? How they get out? Like Jared was asking, how do you get out of this?
Yeah, it's
is
like
that
a
how they
brand
get out
deposit for the ride or something like that.
Right. This was marketing. This stack of money right here was actually promoting the attraction, not the movie. Am I tripping, or do you think that's a possibility?
Man, they would have to spin that pretty hard there.
I mean,
Yeah,
but
I'm
would you
not-
be?
I'm not
But
saying-
would you be
look,
surprised?
I would not be surprised. You make a good point there. This is one Disney. Remember, Josh? One Disney. Okay. No, it's really, really interesting. I think their job was made a lot harder with the box office successes of Obsession and what is it? The other Backrooms. Yeah, Backrooms. When it's number 3 at the box office on the second week.
Yeah.
That's insane. I mean, Obsession was made for like what, $750,000? That is absolutely crazy. So it becomes much more difficult because I think a lot of investors and a lot of shareholders are looking at it going, okay, Backrooms was made for like $10 million or something like that, and it was able to achieve this much. Obsession made for almost nothing and was able to achieve this much. Why are we putting hundreds of millions of dollars into these franchise films which aren't, returning big returns? And I think the way Josh Giamaro, he's not necessarily a Bob Iger guy where it's just like, we're going to spin our way out of this. He is kind of an acknowledgement guy sometimes. And he just goes, hey, you know what? We made a mistake. And to be honest, well, Bob Iger, he just blamed his predecessor for everything, effectively, when it came to Bob Chapek. Josh Giamaro could do something like that. Doubtful, because Bob Iger's still there.
Right.
I think he just goes, look, listen, you know what? We took a gamble. We took a risk. We really wanted to leverage this franchise, this brand. Obviously, this is a merchandising juggernaut for us, and it didn't work out. And we're recalibrating right now. We're really optimistic about what Starfighter is looking like. Ryan Gosling just had an amazing success in Project Hail Mary and everything else. This is the what we're going to go to, and then you just move on. I think that's kind of what they do, and honestly, I think it's the only thing you can do. You can't say weak box office because of the other successes from those other films, and
yeah, it's not like
can't
Toy
really put the
Story
blame
wiped it out
anywhere
of the
else.
top
Go ahead.
spot. It's not like Toy Story wiped it out of the top spot. It's two
Right, exactly.
YouTubers that made movies that wiped it out of the top spot, which would have been unfathomable to think about even 5 to 10 years ago.
10 years ago? Star Wars prints money. That's the crazy thing. And so when you look at that big trajectory, Josh Giamaro got to come into Lucasfilm and be like, what's up? What are we doing? Because we can't have this.
Well, we have He-Man coming out, and that's tracking like 25-30 million. Is it possible that we're just kind of getting old, guys, and the shit we love is it's no longer trendy? I don't know.
It's possible.
It's possible. Now, here's a question. Dana Walden is the chief creative officer. At what point does this become a Dana Walden problem? Or does it? Is Lucasfilm so separate that it doesn't? Because that's something that we've talked about this before, guys, about how Dana might be a sheep in wolf's clothing, wanting that top spot. Is this something where she gets blame on this eventually if this doesn't turn around?
Nah, she'll never get blamed.
You come for the pantsuit, Jared? Huh?
I'm just asking. I'm just asking questions, brother.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. I think Logan's exactly right. I don't think it ever comes down to Dana Walden, at least not at this point, right? Because this is a new role for her as well. I will say, though, the stuff about Dana Walden, very interesting, because apparently she was really advocating for Kathleen Kennedy to stay during that whole thing. Alan Bergman not. Alan Bergman was the guy that was saying, we're not going to do Acolyte Season 2, right? We're going to take this in kind of a new direction. I think that management team and that management crew, including Dave Filoni, they're going to give him some time to shake out, but there is now enhanced emphasis to get this right. With this result for Mandalorian and Grogu, I think if it was successful, it'd be hands off. But I think it becomes hands on when it fails this hard.
Yeah. Well, we did see him adjust after The Last Jedi or after Solo flop, because that's whenever they made a bunch of changes to Rise of Skywalker because of basically Solo was the reaction. Like Last Jedi made money, but it angered the fan base. Solo was like the fan base being like, we're not going to go see this type of thing. And they're like, oh no. And so, yeah, I don't know what you do, man. It's so insane to think about where it's at. And I don't even know how you get out of this, but I'm going to be very curious to see what the rhetoric is around this in the coming weeks, because I don't think this is going to get any better. I don't think it's going to make its money back. And for a Star Wars movie that is losing money, that's just kind of crazy to even think about happening. So,
things to watch in the coming up is going to be the earnings call. What do they say about it? That's going to be interesting. And then seeing what it looks like, right? When it looks like on their balance sheet, because I think they've tied movies in with content licensing and other, I do believe. I want to look at that. I want to look at what the numbers are regarding consumer products. And if they shift it up because of this release, like there's going to be a lot of stuff to track here, because you're already seeing narratives form, like, oh, well, they make a whole bunch of merch and stuff like that. It's like, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to work out that cleanly, but we'll see.
Well, I think Josh has a good, and I'll say this real quick. We'll go into that Disneyland story because I'm going to tell my kids goodnight. But I think Josh has an opportunity, if he wants to admit something, like to be upfront and forthright with the audience. And that would set a different tone. And you don't have to come out and blame anybody. You can just be like, listen, this is not where we want this franchise right now. You don't have to blame. You don't have to do anything. You can just acknowledge where it's at. I think that would go a long ways with people of at least looking at him and being like, okay, he's at least going to be honest with us. And then see what develops after that is maybe a way to go. We'll see how Josh handles this. But all right, I'm going to hand this over. OG, you got. I'll set you up with a link here. I'll let you guys talk about this Disneyland story. I will set up the thing here, and then I'll let you guys take it away. And I'm going to go read bedtime stories real quick, and I'll be right back.
You're good. Set me up, and I'll be ready to go.
I have like 19. There we go. Okay.
You're gonna leave me with the two California guys?
Hey, bro, you're
so if I come back and there's a nice fight,
Arizona, technically, but yes,
I'm going to deny what happened.
Well, you're over at Disneyland all the time. That's why I'm saying
that's very
California.
true. That's very true.
So I guess we begin, Logan. Let's go. Just kidding.
Wait, what was it? No, wait.
I got a little squabble up.
I don't. Well, what were the gang signs back in the day of the East Side and West Side? I don't think my fingers
West
can
side?
do that anymore.
Oh,
No, well, that was the West Side. What was the East Side? I don't know. It's
this.
There you go. Sure.
I don't know.
I was never into that. I'm that guy.
But let's go ahead and talk about it. This is very, very interesting, right? So we have this new Coco boat ride coming up, and it's going into a spot behind the Incredicoaster.
But you said it's a boat ride?
It's a boat ride.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a boat ride, and it's going right behind the Incredicoaster on Pixar Pier. Now, the issue with this thing, though, is that it's right where the parade floats come out of. They kind of come around the coaster and out into the park. They're building this show building for Coco right there. Now, while they're doing the construction for Oogie Boogie Bash, they announced this new kind of like Madame Leota's cavalcade, right, Vash? Where this cavalcade is actually going to go. It's actually going to come out from the Mission Breakout side of Avengers Campus, kind of go through Hollywood Boulevard, and kind of settle into the area in front of Carthay Circle, and then
Can I ask a couple things again, because I've never been out there, just so I can get a better picture? Sure. Both Disney parks are sitting on one chunk of land, right?
Correct.
So they're like technically connected, even though they're different parks, right?
OG, if you want to share my screen, I got the lowdown here for.
Because I was wondering, is it like Universal Studios and Islands, how they're technically touching each other, and there's.
Yes, it's very similar. So you can see north of frame, so it's going to be the top left is going to be Disneyland. South of frame, bottom right is going to be Disney California Adventure. So if you're looking north-south, that's going to help.
That is a small piece of land.
Very small. It's like basically a city block. It's kind of crazy.
So the amount of
all
land
this has
we
to fit
have
in
here is nuts compared to that.
Yeah. I mean, you're
I'm
talking,
sorry, I don't pay too much attention to the California stuff living over here. That's
so
like
Walt Disney World. You have, like what, 45,000 hotel rooms, 4 theme parks, 2 water parks, right? You have twice the size of Manhattan. That's quite not the case at Disneyland.
But I will say this though, and a lot of people don't know this: Disneyland has the most attractions for any Disney park.
Isn't it like 38 rides or something ridiculous
It's
like
an
that?
insane amount. It's stacked.
And we've got like 4 that work at any given time.
And it's interesting too. 2 of the top 6 fastest growing theme parks in the world are actually Disneyland and California Adventure. So that's kind of an interesting thing to note there. You know, maybe Walt Disney World has over 10 times the amount of hotel rooms, but you're still talking about 3,000 hotel rooms, 2 theme parks, and so forth. So this corner right here is going to be the topic of discussion for this, right? Okay. And this is where roughly Coco is going to be. Now, this has changed considerably.
You guys were talking about that the other night. Now that
right. And it's this kind of parcel of land right here at the center of your screen is kind of where this is actually going in. Now, this has changed considerably now. You have a lot of this cleared out and so forth, but you can see right here, this is the back of the parade gate, which currently no longer exists. And this is why, as OG was actually was talking about, for Oogie Boogie Bash 2026, they're not going to have a parade. They're going to instead try to make this up with this kind of street party, I suppose, featuring Madame Leota and Haunted Mansion and everything else. The issue though is that, okay, maybe you do it this year, and do we have pricing OG for this year?
I don't think we do yet.
Yeah, you see, usually they incrementally increase the price every single year. Are you going to be able to justify that with the lack of one of the biggest entertainment offerings for Oogie Boogie Bash? That's one question. But two, does this suggest that parades at DCA are done? Because one of the reasons why is you have this large parade building right here that you actually see. Then you actually have this large parade building right here. The question becomes, potentially you get rid of those guys, maybe that opens up to further expansion and so forth. Is that something that they pursue going forward? Or do they, I don't know, configure this in such a way that you can actually retain parades while also having that Coco attraction? Again, these are the open questions that we actually have right now.
Yeah, and our good friend, our mutual friend, Vash, Marty Snyder, actually brought this up on Twitter. He was saying he knows an Imagineer who is working on the Coco thing, I guess, and is saying that Disney's priority is the food festivals, which obviously makes money, right? And so the parades kind of take a back seat. So if they can do like these cavalcades where they can kind of bring them in from the other side of the park, kind of park them in front of, Carthay, call it a day, and then it doesn't affect all the food festival booths. And here's the thing. Peter Sriracha of Ordinary Adventures, he chimed into my tweet and said, hey, no, this is not true. They're going to work it out with the parade route. So who knows, but for me personally, I can definitely see them doing this because honestly, the money's in the food festivals, and DCA has never been strong with parades. So, they've always been kind of weak, and I can see Disney going, what are we doing here? The booths are what make all the money.
It's interesting, Logan. If you see right here, I know you can't really make it out right now, but you can actually see a booth right there in front of Little Mermaid right there. If you can see
that's
that.
Little Mermaid.
That's Little Mermaid, and you can see this right here, this kind of performance corridor is what they call it. This is the parade route that actually goes through all of Disney California Adventure. Now, when these festival booths are out, as you can see right there, they actually can't perform parades. And so this is why OG is actually bringing this up, that potentially you get rid of parades just forever, in lieu of having these kind of food booths as part of these food festivals just be a year-round thing.
Oh yeah, because you guys don't have, we have Epcot, so
right.
Yeah, we have Epcot.
Yeah, we could have had Westcott, but I'm not going to get into. I love you, Michael Eisner, but that was one thing that I do not love you for. But go on.
Bad move, yeah. But look, listen, in terms of revenue potential, obviously you have something that generates revenue versus parades. They take revenue. But I guess my issue is that we're just seeing a devaluation, I guess, at Disney California Adventure or at Disneyland or even at Walt Disney World, less shows, less performances of entertainment in general, and then this emphasis on either bars, food booths, whatever, certainly is consistent with this philosophy.
Yeah.
Is this something that they continue to do? I would hope not. But look, I'm talking about we're talking about a park in which this whole entertainment venue, being the Hyperion, is empty.
And it has been
for, in there right there.
It's been empty for years. Yeah.
Where does everybody park?
So everybody parks in 2 locations for right now. One is the
wow, that's
Mickey
far
and
away.
Friends. Right. So the Mickey and Friends parking structure, which is this top one right here, was actually the largest in the Western Hemisphere when it actually opened, 10,000 spaces. They added, I believe, the
that's a
Pixar Palace parking
garage.
structure. Yes. The Pixar Palace parking structure, I think, is a little over 6,000, if I'm not mistaken. I have to refer to my notes. And then the other place is going to be the Toy Story lot, which a lot of people believe is going to be the third gate eventually. To get there, though, you have to build another parking structure in order to make up for that parking inventory, and that's where this lot comes in here. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff going on.
It's a lot of stuff, but I will become mayor eventually, and I'm going to bulldoze all those houses, and we're going to get this happening right now.
Yeah, that's gonna not
You guys
be
have like
good.
no green over there.
Yeah,
Like, there's a lot of green on Disney property over here, and I'm like, it's all just gray.
Well, you gotta think, right? I think 30% of it is dedicated to just what is it, environmental reserve or whatever. So there's a lot of that. But look, it's all about maximizing the amount of real estate that you actually have here. And so it's like, okay, well, if your earnings potential is limited, then maybe food booths might be the way to go, and you just forego parades. But it's just this Oogie Boogie Bash, the one entertainment piece that you have there is the parade. Well, Disneyland only has one parade a day now with Paint the Night. I mean, it's just you just see this constant degradation, OG.
Is there no way to get the parade around without going through there?
Well, Vash, show him what the cavalcade route would be from Breakout to Carthay.
Yeah. So, So you have what? Mission Breakout is right here. Right. You can see where a parade might actually come out, which is actually what here, and it comes out here, and then it goes down this path, goes down Hollywood Boulevard right here, and then comes up to Carthay Circle, which is right there. Yeah. That's kind of your cavalcade route. Now, if you wanted to go longer with the actual parade, then it has to end somewhere. So that's where you would go down this parade corridor all the way through, and then you would snake back here.
But the problem is with the food booth money, though, bro.
That's the food booth money. So there is a possibility, a couple, but one of the distinct possibilities is maybe you go through Cars Land, which is something John Lasseter never wanted, but you potentially could do that, and then you would end up right about here, which is where that parade gate actually is. But that'd be the only thing I can actually think of. In fact, this parade route for a while was actually the second largest in the world, I think, behind Shanghai.
Here's the other thing too. I'm all about entertainment. I'm a vibes guy, so But I'm thinking with, like, if I'm Disney, the parade route, when you go beyond the San Francisco area, you start to mess with the World of Color seating area and all that mess. I can see Disney saying that whole part of the park is not really worth messing with.
Yeah.
Like, it's you got World of Color back there, you got the food booths back there. Like, I'm not touching it. Now, will the normies care? That's the other thing. We are theme park nerds who want the whole parade route. Is a normie going to care if the parade is cut halfway? I don't know. I mean, is that going to matter enough? I mean, is it in the overall scheme of things for the average guest? That's a big question too.
I don't quite know how you can ask the same or more for Oogie Boogie Bash without that parade. I just don't, because it's such a big deal for that thing. Now, for the price of DCA, I mean, I guess it's gone without a parade for a while. It's gone without the Hyperion for a while. So I think it's just something that they're just going to, necessarily not feature in this park. And most people buy park hoppers anyway if they're going to DCA. So maybe they just don't, they think of this very, very differently.
We also have to look at the other parks in Florida. I mean, a lot of the secondary parks don't have parades. Am I wrong?
They don't have parades. But, oh man, it's like, who wants to go over to DCA? You want to balance out your resort by having people go over there. That's why they actually had a Hyperion show or they had a parade, etc. Now it is this just construction park for the time being, and they just eat that, value cost. I guess I suppose that's what they're doing now.
It's a tough one. I've been saying for a long time, Vash, parades are a big question mark in this park. Where they're building that Coco boat ride, there's not a huge amount of space there. If they were building some other kind of ride, if they were building a Midway Mania type of attraction, right, you could squeeze that in there. A boat ride. And Josh Giamaro got on that stage 2 years ago at D23 and said, this is going to be on par with some of Disney's best pirates and all that. Remember that? So It's like, really? Like, so how are you going to fit that in there with that parade route? I don't know.
I mean, it's a fair point. To build a boat ride here, I don't know. Again, we've gone over this a couple of times on this show and so forth. It just boggles the mind that you would choose right here. I understand that DCA needs to have a boat ride of some kind. It needs to have high capacity attractions of some kind, especially family friendly attractions. And this follows, Bugs Land being removed and everything else. It's just, man, to build it here, I don't know. And now we have this, again, another operational change that we'll all have to endure, that being the loss of parades themselves. Now, I will say, I'll bring this up here. This is Walt Disney World News Today. They had this article today off of the news that Oogie Boogie Bash would not feature the Frightfully Fun Parade. They're saying that, let's see here, the absence of the parade is likely due to construction, obviously, and this could last for a few party seasons as construction ramps up on the new Coco-themed attraction in Pixar Pier. They're suggesting that maybe this only lasts for a little while and maybe doesn't get rid of parades in general. However, we do have this from Marty Snyder. Also from the Imagineers that I've spoken with, Coco might be ending parades in DCA permanently, and that's actually the way the company would like to go. Ooh. So we have some differing things. Peter Charette, obviously, from Theme Park Obsession. I'm sorry.
Ordinary Adventures.
Ordinary Adventures. Sorry. I apologize. OG, you brought up Peter's comment right there.
Yeah, I can bring it up. I can bring it up for you guys. He was saying, let me see here. Let me go back to that. Give me 1 second, guys. Peter. I can bring up his comment. I thought it was interesting. Here it is. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen real quick, fellas. Give me un momento. There we go. And yeah, he said to Marty's comment, because I put the big eyes on there, what I'm saying? I'm like, oh man, I'm shook. Marty, what are you talking about? Peter says, not true. All indications are that they are retaining the parade building. Seems stupid if they are getting rid of parades entirely. While I know nothing for sure, though, he says he doesn't know for sure. There are definite logistical ways to have both. So that's what Peter is saying.
I mean, Peter just bring up an interesting point. If you were going to get rid of the parade building, which is directly beyond, I mean, if you remember the layout there. If you were going to get rid of the parade building for the completion of Coco, you would have done that already. At least that's the thought. Because I mean, DCA hasn't been hosting parades for a little while now, right? So conceivably, you could say, okay, we'll just get rid of it now and make way for this new Coco edition, and there you go. They haven't yet, so that is the hope. The hope also might be that somehow parades can still make it from here to there without involving this Coco construction. That's the hope.
Right.
I'm not necessarily sure if that's going to happen or not. I mean, what Marty is saying is that, hey, look, listen, maybe it's just a better return on investment. And maybe there's better revenue potential with actually keeping the food booths there. I mean, it's an interesting idea as well. So it's kind of like for this park that used to be pretty, I wouldn't say entertainment stacked, but used to have a pretty good assortment of entertainment. And these second things for people to do now have one less option, both day parade and party parade. So,
well, and John Make It Rain says there's plenty of space there, Vash. Well, I mean, not necessarily, John. I mean, we don't really know a whole lot of details though about this boat ride. It's a boat ride. Number one, that's pretty big. Now, mind you, the tree line, all the trees in that spot are going to be gone. So to be fair, that's going to be gone. But, it's still pretty tight for what they want to do. Also, that end of the parade route is a moneymaker for them with those food festivals. A parade interrupts that. So we have to, we have to think like Disney thinks, and like they might not want to do that, John. I mean, look, we're not trying to be negative. And look, honestly, for me, I even said it before. We're like, if we lose parades, but we get a better Coco ride, I'd be okay with that. Like for me, that's completely fine. For some people, it might not
move the food booths to another place.
Not really.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there's not a whole lot of space, right, Vash? I mean, maybe they can. I mean, it would. I mean, there's not really a whole lot of space here to do anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, the only place I can actually think of putting them is, I mean, Cars Land. It's so saturated right now with people. Could put them like maybe here, in the Redwood Creek Challenge Trail area. But even like Hollywood Land, stuff like that, I mean, that's going to be completely redone for Avatar, apparently. So it's kind of like, where do you put these things while this is actually going on? And here's the thing, too. I mean, we don't know how involved this all is going to be when it comes to Avatar, right? Are you necessarily going to be able to even get parades through here, which is the major corridor to have parades go through? Maybe you cut through Cars Land, like I was saying before. I guess it's a possibility. But perhaps this is just setting everybody up to say, hey, parades aren't even going to be available for a while, just given the bookend construction that we're going to have within this park.
If I was a betting man, and I'm not, but if I was, hypothetically, I would say they're going to do this kind of compromise where they're going to do the Hollywood Boulevard to Carthay cavalcades. And that's the future of this kind of thing in DCA. I think the all the way through the park thing is done. And that's just my opinion. And again, I could be completely wrong, but I just feel there's too much money with the food booths. It's an ordeal with World of Color. It gets in the way with the Coco thing. There's just too many negatives against it. I can't see them keeping the parades. On top of that, DCA has never been strong with parades. I mean, I think the Oogie Boogie Bash Parade is probably the best one we've ever had. Most of the time, they're kind of cheap Pixar parades for the most part, and no other secondary park in Florida even has parades. So I don't know. I don't think parades are long on this earth. I think Marty's right. At least as we know them. For this park, I think they're going to get rid of them. I do. I really, really do. But I could be wrong. We'll see.
Interesting.
We'll see.
Yeah, I did get rid of all the parades. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, all the parades. Yeah. I remember the one they had on the water at Animal Kingdom, but I'm thinking they've got nothing.
Yeah, no most of them. You used to have that one in Hollywood Studios, that the March of the First Order, but they haven't done that since Galaxy's Edge. Epcot, I don't think they may have had cavalcades during COVID.
They had them way back in. It was a cavalcade where they had the double-decker bus with the characters and waving, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah, exactly. And we do now, Vash. We do have the red car trolley parked in the front. How long until that becomes the red bar trolley?
Yeah, right at the front of the park, right here is the red bar trolley. Yeah, I mean, that's just the thing. Well, look, I mean, Logan, you've seen the diminishment of entertainment at Walt Disney World.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
This is kind of not even just a resort mandate, but it seems like a company mandate that they just don't. I mean, OG, we've seen at Disneyland only one parade a day. Remember,
Yeah.
they canceled Paint the Night in Christmas time because it was like, oh, well, we have the Christmas Fantasy Parade. Previously, I mean, I remember years where they would have a day parade and a night parade. I remember years when they would have all of that and a Hyperion show and a Fantasyland show and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And we've just seen that eroded away slowly and slowly and slowly. I think DCA, man, the one thing it needs is entertainment. And to lose that as well, the value, unfortunately, is not there.
Well, and I tell you this, I with parades, I can understand it, but that red car really ticked like that hit me. That hit me because that whole thing, Vash, was such a kinetic energy placemaking thing, and it didn't affect the food booths at all. You know what I'm saying? And they got rid of that. I don't know. That to me was
about money made versus money spent. Parades cost money, and so they not only would be paying for the parades, but they'd be losing money on the food booths. So if you're looking from like the way, I don't know Disneyland very well, obviously, but from the way modern Disney thinks, I tend to agree with you. I could
maintenance alone. Just think about how much that costs compared to not doing it and just having a booth with 2 people handing out food and booze.
Yep.
The other thing I'll add to this, and then we can obviously move on. When it comes to the Oogie Boogie Bash, I'm going to be really interested to see where those tickets are, because we are seeing a lot of incentives to get people to renew their Magic keys and so forth, and maybe reducing some of those friction points as we were going over OG when it came to like reservations. Now the whole reservation calendar is completely open. We're seeing like a reinvention of the app when it comes to the website versus making reservations within the app and so forth. We're seeing a lot of these things in order to move the needle for people and their purchasing decisions. So I just saw Marty's post recently where he's like, "Look, listen, I'm out. I'm not gonna renew my Magic key," which is a pretty insane thing for Marty to actually do, because you know as well as I do, OG, that he goes a lot, but he's just like, "Look, I'm just not doing it."
Parades?
Well, I guess what I mean is that with Disney is certainly moving some stuff around in order for people to buy in to these, either Magic keys or tickets or Disney After Dark events, or even this. Oogie Boogie Bash already, it had a kind of a hard time selling out last year. I really want to know what happens this year when it comes to these sales. How fast they actually move. Do they actually sell out? I'm pretty sure they will. But, in terms of value for this event right here, it definitely took a hit today.
Well, Vash, Kiki and Luca brings up a good point. And I've been saying this forever. Kiki and Luca, you bring up a great point. I've heard people say they're not renewing, but then there's like 10 people to take their spot. I've heard people say they're not renewing and they still renew too. Now, that's a problem. I think a huge problem with the Disney community. Like, there is a lot of like, we don't like what Disney's doing, but we're going to buy anyway.
That's the FOMO.
That's the FOMO. And that's where it gets us into trouble, because Disney they will gladly take your angry dollar. They do not care how mad you are.
Yeah.
If you give them money, that is signing off saying you approve what they're doing. And too many fans are like, "Yeah, man, I don't like what they're doing." And then they go ahead and they continue to purchase. Now, Marty, I respect that. Marty's like, "No, I'm not going to renew it." Cool. That's what you should do. If you're not happy, you pull back. Too many fans don't do that though. And then that's why we're in this mess. Oogie Boogie Bash will probably sell out again. And we're going to get the same event like we do every single year with Oogie Boogie Bash.
We have the same issue here with the, not so scary Halloween or whatever it is.
Yep.
That we've tried to go for the last 3 years. No matter what night we pick, it's sold out. We just to go, all right, we're going to Universal or we're going to SeaWorld. We'll do Howl-O-Scream. So it's like, it's you can't even get into it over here, and it isn't even that great. It was fun. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know.
It's wild. It's wild. Well, Remedy here says, OG, I don't think it's the problem with the Disney community. I think people who buy these are happy with what they get. Vash, do you agree with that? I got to respectfully disagree. I see a lot of complaining on social media, and then they turn around and people buy this stuff. I don't thing. I mean, I'm not saying Remy, it's like across the board. I'm sure there are people who buy this stuff that are happy, but I see a lot of people who are not happy, at least vocally on Twitter, who do renew. But what say you guys?
Well, look, if people were happy with what they were getting, why is Disney doing all of these things to placate pass holders? Why are they giving a $100 dining credit for renewing your pass? That's what you got to ask yourselves is if people were, yeah, exactly, a rogue attraction. If people were very, very satisfied with what they were actually getting, we wouldn't see this amount of incentivization that we really haven't seen for years. I mean, or never for the Magic Key program, but certainly for the annual pass holder program, we just haven't had these incentivizations to get you on board the program. If we wouldn't have signs at the front of these parks saying, "Hey, you can turn your ticket into a Magic Key, going here or whatever." We're just seeing a lot of that right now, and you got to ask why that is happening. Now, maybe it's because of the economy. Maybe it's because, dollars getting tight, whatever. Gas. These things are happening, though, for sure.
They offer you guys bonuses for renewing your pass?
Right now they do.
I just get lesser discounts. That's what they give us.
We get a Disney discounts. We get a Disney dining gift card, right, Vash? Oh, well, we're going to.
Yeah. Yeah,
and then mine at SeaWorld the other day actually got me a discount on drinks. I was like, what? And really? Disney doesn't even give me discounts on any of the food booths at Epcot.
Yeah, that's true. They don't do that at all. Well, Disney World's a different animal too compared to Disney.
You get certain sit down and certain merchandise. And I'm like, what's the point? Universal gives us everything but booze. SeaWorld is like, we'll give you a discount on anything. Just come. So
pretty much.
Yeah. Rob White. Big shout to Rob, by the way. Happy birthday, Rob. Rob had his birthday yesterday. Big shout to Rob White. Those Magic Key program is double the price of Disney World annual pass. Yeah, we have so many. Yeah, we have so many locals out here. It's crazy.
Wait. How much does it cost a year for the highest end key?
It's like a hair away from 2K, isn't it, Vash? From a I'm not mistaken, like
$1,900.
$1,900.
It is the most expensive theme park product in the world.
Well, you got to think Disneyland is 70% locals too, so they're trying to. I think a lot of it is just like they're trying to keep those amount down a little bit. Is probably why they're pricing it that. But yeah, it's crazy.
But ours for the Incredipass, I think is $1,300, and if you go the one below it, I forget what that's called. The one right below it, it's like 1,000, less than 1,000, but it's because you have, I think, 2 weeks of blackouts and that's it. But otherwise, no difference.
Yeah, I mean, that
blows my mind. $1,900.
Well, we got to think, right? Jared kind of called it out right there. But remember, if you have, I mean, at one point they had 1 million annual pass holders on the system. Now, think about it. These parks, like Disneyland, for example, its max capacity right now is about 65,000. Now, it has been higher in previous years, but they really do not like to keep it anything more than that. For Disney California Adventure, it's probably 40,000, right? When a new attraction comes and you have 1 million annual pass holders that could show up potentially, what do you do? And that's why the price is as high as it is because you're looking at a very supply limited resort. Okay. And that's why also too why Disneyland is a little bit more aggressive in not replacing attractions and is more additive when it comes to expansions is because they require the capacity. They have no choice.
Well, Vash, attendance wise, now I know officially these companies don't really give out attendance figures, but Disneyland in this tight little space here, we're like a hair away from Magic Kingdom attendance.
Yeah, we're about 20 million. 20 million, and I think we've eclipsed that actually in 2025. But we're still waiting for the TEA data.
All right, we packed them in.
Then just one park?
In just one
Disneyland,
park.
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it does beat out Magic Kingdom for 2025. That'd be kind of crazy.
There's nothing to do. There's nothing works, and everything else is under construction.
Yeah.
What are people going to do? Ride Tiana's thing that doesn't work? That's half broken all the time. I have another name for it, but I'm going to keep it family friendly. So it's Dang it. So sorry, my headset's dying.
It's
But there's nothing over there that's even open. Everything's construction walls.
yeah,
Like you guys actually have stuff to do at Disneyland. We don't
right,
at Magic Kingdom.
right.
Besides wait in line.
Yeah, we got Disneyland is a really stacked park. I mean, it's crazy. Jared, when you go,
Oh, I mean,
it's
the amount of attractions is crazy when you actually look
it's
at
a 2-day for
Yeah.
sure.
for sure.
It's 2 days. Yeah,
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
see that for sure.
no question. Somebody was asking about the size of Coco and everything like that. I just did a size comparison between that and Radiator Springs Racers, which I wouldn't say. I mean, it's a large attraction, mostly for its outdoor elements and so forth. But that is a little over 5 acres. If you were to completely saturate this area that they're looking to build on, I think I got it at 2.68, which is pretty decent. Not gonna lie, but you have a lot of for a water ride, right? You have cooling towers that you have to manage. You also have to have a maintenance facility for those boats, and you have to facilitate a road here, at least for these backstage buildings right there. So if you're thinking you're going to get 2.68 out of this, it's not going to happen. It's just not.
Yeah.
So you're probably looking at less than 2 acres at max for something like Coco. And I just don't know. I mean, I have some serious doubts about this. We'll see how they actually divide this up, because remember, you got to think queue, you got to think, shop, restaurant, all of that. Remember, all of that eats into your attraction budget right there. It's going to be really fascinating to see what they actually do with this space. But you can already see them making concessions for this now with this, this I guess, cavalcade, street party, whatever you want to call it. Oogie Boogie Bash's replacement for Frightfully Fun Parade.
Yeah, and Jab Vader here says, mind blowing to me how DCA is getting +4 new rides with only 1 ride being replaced compared to Disney World, where 3/4 of their new land had to be replaced by something. I will say Disneyland Resort is really good. I think because they have to be really good with kind of like this Tetris thing that they do. I mean, I don't know how they fit 15 acres of Star Wars in Disneyland. I mean, to this day, that amazes me. I mean, they moved heaven and earth to get that thing in there. I don't get it. So, I mean, that is one thing I will give Disney credit for. I do believe out here in California, they do manage their space pretty well. So that bodes well for Coco for sure, but we'll see. We will absolutely see.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let's we're coming up here. Let's go. We'll go through the next 2 stories here. Not fast. We'll go through it speedily. We won't linger too much on them because I want to hit both things. Yeah, we'll just try and do it gracefully as we can, which won't be very graceful with me. But just shifting gears a little bit, we'll talk about, and I put the title of the stream, so we figure we'll probably talk about this. There was an article from Forbes that was basically outlining Universal's surge in growth, and it was titled "Trade Body Reveals the Theme Park with the Highest Attendance Growth, and It Isn't Disney." It basically lays out the growth that Universal has had, and they had some charts here. This one shows in attendance growth in the millions here. Universal Japan is the highest by far. Then you got California Adventure right there, which is kind of surprising hearing from you guys talk about DCA. Then Universal Hollywood, Islands of Adventure, Universal Florida round out the top 5. And the first Disney World park you have is Epcot. And then another chart here on the percentages. Universal Japan's like 100% growth. Universal Hollywood's 85%. Islands of Adventure 64%. Universal Studios Florida is 55%. So basically it's outlining here what Universal's been doing. This is all going off the data from 2024, which I think 2025 could paint a very different picture, because I'm very curious what those numbers are going to be for Universal. Not really. I don't think Epic's going to be this park that breaks in like the top 10, just where it's at. But obviously everyone going into Universal and all that stuff. But I don't know if you guys got a chance to read this article, what they had to say about this. What do you guys think? I mean, we've been talking about this for years, so I don't think if you've been following theme parks, this isn't a shock. I mean, if you look at the market, how much market share that they have, they've eaten over 10% of market share in the past 10 years in Orlando with Disney World. What do you guys think about? I mean, is this breaking any news, you think, or is this kind of like the mainstream sort of starting to catch up on what's been kind of going on here?
I think it doesn't surprise me with Universal, because Universal has been very aggressive in try to capturing that market share. I gotta admit though, it is surprising. The only Disney park in that whole thing that had growth like that was DCA.
Yeah,
that is kind of crazy.
Well,
but
Epcot was down at the end.
Yeah,
it's got a little Epcot, all the boosts. That's it, more boosts.
You know,
but half of DCA's growth.
Yeah,
so, right? And DCA had $1 billion plus shot in the arm in the middle of that decade with 2012. I mean, they basically bulldozed and rebuilt that whole thing. It was crazy, you know. So that could be a huge part of why DCA is showing up on there. But yeah, but kudos to Universal, man. They're crushing
the same thing to Epcot, and it actually had the reverse effect.
True.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
Well, Epcot sucks now. I love Epcot, and I still think it sucks, especially the giant flower in the middle of the.
Yeah, have you seen that, OG?
I have.
Yeah,
I've seen that. It wasn't there when
I noticed that.
I'm
gonna thank Vash for that. I was watching something, and I think Vash was the one who mentioned the shape of it, and I'm like, I can't unsee this.
Yeah, once you see it, you can't. Yeah, you can't
there.
unsee it.
Yeah,
you
for
shield
sure.
your children's eyes when you walk by, and you're like, no, this isn't.
Like, don't look at that.
This isn't for your eyes now. Walk. Yeah,
it's I think, Daddy, what's that? Ooh.
Well, I think when you look, they even mentioned this article about how Disneyland Paris had a new attraction, like I think it was 10, 20 years or something like that. And how they're
5, I believe.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I think when you look at Universal, like there's a lot of things that go into this. They do mention this article, like Disney's the big dog. So like they're not going to grow as much, obviously. But I think when you're looking at this, it really does show the money and the energy and effort Universal's putting into what they're doing, and it's working. And I'm very curious, like in 2025, what that outlines and really the impact of Epic, what we really start seeing from that. And I do think you're seeing this shift where if it doesn't happen in the next couple of years, it's going to happen in the coming years, which is Universal is just a co-leader, considered a co-leader in the industry, and you hit that about 35% market share. And I think they're well on their way to that.
I'll give Caroline Reed a lot of credit here because she did a lot of work to get all of this data right here. Her article's pretty extensive right there. So some of it's like, okay, we've heard it before, but for a lot of people, they might not be up to date on a lot of the stuff. So definitely give all the shout outs in the world to Caroline Reed for compiling all this data together because there was a lot to go through. What's very, very interesting about this is, you know, Universal Japan is kind of an outlier. I'm going to leave that to the side for a second, but the top 2, 3, 4, 5 spots right there. Here's the thing. You're talking about parks that had the room to grow. I think, Jared, you kind of alluded to that right there in your statement, but these parks had room to grow, right? These parks they started off in probably the worst positions 20 years ago compared to now. And so I think that's why they're on this list. When you look at Disney California Adventure, like OG was pointing out right there, it had a big shot in the arm with that $1.2 billion redo, and with Cars Land. Cars Land was a huge driver, and how Disneyland actually counts their attendances, it's the first tick. So obviously you have a large annual pass holder base that has access to both parks. So what do you do? Like, how do you count attendance? It's which parks that people go to first. When DCA relaunched in June, I want to say, of 2012, with Cars Land, now you had a reason for people to go over there first because they wanted to get fast passes and they wanted to go on Radiator Springs Racers. That's why you had that big attendance jump right there. And so that's why it's number 2 on this list. And look, that's the power that a franchise can bring you. In Caroline Reed's article, she goes over and says, look, Universal's trajectory definitely changed in 2010 with the opening of the first Wizarding World and Islands of Adventure. And when they got access to that brand, to J.K. Rowling's juggernaut, right? It had an effect on not only Islands of Adventure, but had an effect on Universal Studios Florida when it opened its own version, that being Diagon Alley. It had an effect on Universal Japan. That's when it started its big trajectory, and that was with the original incarnation of Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Hollywood saw a little bit of a boost there, but Hollywood really benefited from Super Nintendo World, and I think the thing you can take away from this in the top 5 is really the power that a franchise can bring you. And this is why these companies have been so aggressive in bringing these IP-based products to these theme parks because they have seen the growth. They have experienced it over these last 20 years. And that's why the industry is forever changed by this. Also, too, note Disneyland, number 6 right there. It's had a tremendous growth trajectory over these last 20 years. I think in 2025, this is the day when they actually supersede Magic Kingdom, as we were saying before. But very interesting chart for sure.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think when you look at, you're right about the IPs, and she laid it out pretty well. Like, and what's crazy about when the Wizarding Worlds came online, you had 34% jumps in attendance, and they were able to maintain it. And we've talked about it before about like that's not really something you see. And I've alluded to as well. You see Disney and Universal's strategy, and Universal's is kind of unique in the fact that they're kind of going after, like, obviously they're going after theme park fans on some level, but they're not necessarily trying to convert all the Disney people over to their parks. They're tapping into the Harry Potter fan base, the Nintendo fan base, probably the Pokemon fan base when that comes in, maybe even I pointed as well, like we talked about before, anime coming into the parks, and you
Absolutely.
coalesce this, you grow your attendance through these fandoms. And I really do think, like, if they put Pokemon and say like One Piece into the parks, that chart is going to explode in the coming years for Universal.
Pokemon, seriously, I believe that Pokemon's the number one franchise, any IP in the world.
Yep.
Bringing that to Universal, I think it could dang near tie Disney, because Pokemon, especially, I think we were talking about it back when you were on my podcast the other day. What if they give out the cards? Just people going to the parks just to get Pokemon cards will be insane. People
it'll
will
happen.
pay just to get cards.
Yeah.
Well,
And the attendance will skyrocket.
Oh
for
yeah,
cards.
it's gonna change the game for Universal 1,000%. Well, and here's the thing too, I know our good friend theme park conductor has brought up the fact that Disney seems to be dragging their heels a little bit with the California projects, with Pandora and stuff. They're a little more fast tracked with the Florida projects. Well, after seeing these numbers, I can kind of see why.
Oh yeah. Well, and
I mean, right?
Actually, the competition.
And these numbers are before you have, like, I think what's going to be really interesting to see play out over the next few years is the Epic Universe effect of whatever that is. Like, how I don't think Magic Kingdom gets hit necessarily. Like, it might have a little bit of a drop off with the construction, but I'm really curious what, like, say, Animal Kingdom and some of these other parks at Disney World and really what they're doing. But like, I think what if you're Universal, I mean, they know this stuff all before this article came out, but like, you have to be encouraged by this and the trajectory that they're going on, the money they're spending. And really, this chart also lays out, if you're willing to invest in these parks, this is also what grows. This is the catalyst to growth. This is talking about all this money going in here. And I think that that's the recipe for what Universal's doing. And it's kind of crazy. Like, none of this in this article was shocking. Like, she did her research, she did her homework, because she definitely laid out like all those things we've talked about before. But I think this is more or less like when you have mainstream outlets starting to talk about this, that's where it kind of gets interesting, because I think the rhetoric around this kind of starts shifting, especially like more or less in Orlando and what this competition is becoming. And I also think this is, if you look at that chart, this is why Disney's investing so heavily into the cruise lines, because they see growth there.
Absolutely.
That they're not going to see in Orlando. Like, I think Disney's goal with these expansions is maintain the dominance, try and stay on top, fend off Universal, but they're not going to see 20% jumps in attendance, even off these new lands. Universal could potentially, with Epic, with Pokemon, with, let's say they do One Piece, like, you could see these substantial jumps, because we just saw Universal have $1 billion quarter off of this last one they had toward the end of I think it was the end of 2025. So that's what's kind of interesting, is like, even Disney is more or less like, they're spending money, obviously, but it's more or less, as a, in my opinion, a defensive tactic, and they're being offensive when it comes to cruise lines. And eventually, by the way, I think Universal gets into the cruise lines, which that's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out too.
Well, there's a huge amount of potential there. I mean, if they are able to snag their own island like Disney has with the Bahamas or whatever,
yeah,
and you can go to Jurassic Park.
Oh,
they drop you.
I'd be like, take my money. Take Jurassic Park, take my money.
I mean, come on, that would
even
be,
if it's real dinosaurs, I'd go take my money.
Oh, 100%. Dude, Logan, let's go, man. I mean, that would be the sickest thing ever. That would be
don't jump off the
thing
tram to go to the bathroom on that one. That may not end very well.
That's the first thing I'll do.
They'd be like, Logan, he lived a good life.
He was a good guy. We miss him.
I mean, and this all is incredibly fascinating. I'm seeing the Jujutsu Kaisen footage from FanFest. The reason I included this in this B-roll because obviously that came from Universal Studios Japan. It's really interesting. I did not know Universal Studios Japan had so many franchises. Like Snoopy, for example, Sesame Street, and certainly some multiple anime, not just One Piece, but also too. They just opened like I think a free rent thing very recently as well. We've seen Demon Slayer in there. It's just incredible to see how much that they've incorporated into that park, and maybe that's why you've seen the number one on the charts, right? Because it's just they've been so aggressive in this, and unlike Disney, Universal or Comcast does have a stake in Universal Studios Japan, so that's kind of an interesting thing going on right there.
I think they actually said in the article they bought out they own it outright now. Did
they really? Okay, because I saw it was partially owned by a couple of different entities right there, but it wouldn't surprise me if they actually did buy it because it has been so successful for them. It's been a cash cow for them out there, as you can possibly imagine. So it's just like they're seeing what these franchises do in Japan. I think that's why that maybe we're going to start to see anime actually in the domestic parks because it has been such a boon there for Universal Studios Japan, specifically Pokemon, like Logan was saying, and maybe some more franchises. It is crazy what is actually going on there. But look, like Jared pointed out right there, this is why Disney has been so aggressive in these growth strategies, like a cruise line, for example, because they can't necessarily match this growth. They can fend off Universal, but they can't quite match this growth. And I think Universal did have a lot. They started out in positions that weren't necessarily that great, like Universal Studios. Was it Islands of Adventure, right? When that park opened, man, it was a stinker. I mean, it's just they had to hang on from a performance standpoint, right? They actually had to sell. Universal had to sell part of its stake in Islands of Adventure just to stay afloat and keep that theme park operating. Now, that all changes when Comcast actually comes into the mix, and that was at the same time that's happening. That's also when the Wizarding World opened. So it's kind of this 1-2 punch right there.
Yeah,
but
once Comcast got control of Universal, that is really what changed their trajectory.
Exactly, right? And then that's where you see that huge growth that Islands of Adventure actually experiences, and Universal Studios Florida obviously benefits from that. But what I'm saying is that where those parks started off from, that's why you have such record growth. So, OG, to your point, right? It's like it's if these parks started off in a healthier position, they wouldn't be on this chart. So that's the interesting thing to point out on this as well.
Right. That's a great point. And yeah, Universal really lucked out when it came to Comcast because they had a series of bad owners. I think it was GE, and then they had Vivendi in there for a little while. They were just, it was kind of like a Warner Brothers situation where they were just getting bad owner after bad owner. Comcast comes in, respects the IP, expands the park, and does a fantastic job.
Well, I believe the land where they built Epic, they used to previously own, they had to sell it because of this. I mean, they were not doing great. And then they later on bought it for much more than they sold it for originally. I believe that's how that shook out, if I remember correctly. But I mean, this also goes to show you too, like if you're Universal and you're looking at this chart, it makes a lot of sense why you put $8 billion into Epic. Why you're, even with Epic being built, you're continuing to expand, because I think the formula here is simply, if you're willing to spend the money on, now just because you spend the money doesn't mean you're going to get success, but if you spend the money on really good lands and attractions and you bring in these IPs like this, it is a license to print money. So I don't know if Universal ever gets close to Disney in terms of like market share. I don't know if they ever, people talk about, can they beat Disney? It's possible, but I don't think it necessarily, they don't have to be successful. They've proven that. I think they'll continue to give the market share. I'm curious to see where that maybe levels off, or do they end up at 35, 40%, like whatever that ends up being. But I think that just what you're going to be in the foreseeable future is a theme parks arms race where you got two destinations spending billions of dollars, and this is not going to slow down anytime soon. Because Disney's not going to relinquish it. They're not going to stop spending money. So Universal is forcing them to spend all this money that they're spending right now. I don't think they necessarily would if it wasn't for Universal, which is the other side of that coin.
But Universal's got one weapon that Disney doesn't.
What's that?
They're actually listening to their customers.
True.
They listen to feedback. Disney's like, oh, wait, you like Rivers of America? Get rid of it. Cars. What? Universal's like, oh, you want more Harry Potter? Here you go. Oh, you didn't think that the Fantastic Beast was good? All right, so we'll give you another Harry Potter ride over here. So it's like they're just listening to what the customers want. How many times? Oh, well, I don't know if you guys have annual passes to Universal, but every time we go, we get surveys, and we get survey after survey after survey after survey.
Yeah, they send out
Disney
a lot.
doesn't. I get one in a blue moon, and I think the last one I got was Epcot Food and Wine last year. But Universal has always, and plus I've also met a couple people that work over there, and they're like, yeah, it's more important that we listen to the consumer. Plus, I even had one issue at Epic Universe. I made one post about it on X. Universal got back to me and then offered me free tickets to Epic Universe because of it.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think
because I got heat stroke.
Oh my gosh. Well, I actually agree with you, Logan. But I do think though, we have now I don't know for sure if it's gonna happen or not. This is a big asterisk caveat, right? But I think we have potential here going forward with Disney. I do believe tomorrow is more of that, we listen to fans guy.
I hope so.
More than Iger was. So hopefully we have that dynamic. But I agree with you. Universal is really good at listening and adjusting to what the fan base wants. I mean, they're great at it.
Some people say even removing the express off of Hagrid's is listening to the customers.
100%. Yeah.
I don't like it because that's how I write it after 4.
Right.
We go and it takes 30, 40 minutes instead of 2 hours to write it. But we're also part of the problem why it takes 2 hours to write it. So,
yeah.
But
and I think even if I've theorized they might add it to the Express Pass now, but even if they don't, if they do that, that is still them listening to the fan base of having more control over the Express Pass. So, I mean, you almost have to. Universal would be silly not especially if you're competing and you're trying to make up ground. I mean, your easiest way to do that is just to service the fan base. What do you want? And then try and do that. And, even last year we saw with Halloween Horror Nights that I forget what the thing was called, but it was the first premiere thing they had. Did not go over very well. And so what do they do this year? The people that went last year, I think they're offering half off or some sort of discount.
Yeah, they did that with Super Enthused. She went through it with and was telling all about it. And I was like, that's a really good deal. Because the previous one we looked into and we're like, we just went with the Express. But now, I don't know. I think that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, and they try and make it right, and I think that's what you have to do. And I suppose the question there is going to be, as Universal continues to grow, do they maintain that? And I think for the foreseeable future, I think they will. But I also think the other caveat that we've talked about before, something that if you're looking at properties that are going to obviously get you people into your parks, they have some interesting things coming up that they could be doing in their parks that Disney essentially had no answer for. One is DC. I think there's a legitimate possibility that DC comes to Universal, given what we have seen. So the DC theme park rights are with Six Flags, but I didn't know this until I watched Attraction Ideas video. They recently made a caveat in that contract. It states that basically that is the fact, except for Florida. So essentially, Warner Brothers is please put us into Universal Parks. So you have that.
Imagine it in Epic.
Yeah, then you have Nintendo and throw Pokemon in there, and then you have anime. These are things that Disney does not have an answer for. Disney World, they can't do anything with the Marvel stuff really outside of Guardians and maybe a few ancillary things.
They have some anime that they can do stuff with, but are they going to? No.
Right.
No.
I don't think they have the guts to do it. I really don't. I mean, I was at Fan Fest and they did the whole One Piece thing, and that one Nami girl, she's showing all kinds of skin. Disney would never never allow that. Never allow that. Now, I do want to say this real quick that Barry, the Music Man, said Universal has never done Gay Day. Maybe not Gay Day, but out here in California and Hollywood, they sell a lot of Pride merch. They do. So they're not completely separated from that.
Here in Florida, it's down to one little section, and that's it. They've pretty much cut it out because they realize, well, we're in Florida. It's not what you do here. So it's kind of, yeah, I could see that's why he could think that, because Florida, it really, they really don't have that much.
Yeah. In California, they sell. I've seen quite a bit of the merch, but I don't know about an official gay day though. I don't know if they do that, but the merchandise and stuff, absolutely.
I don't think Universal ever
feel like Universal staying out of that political those topics.
Which I think also Universal has also done a pretty good job of staying out of that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, even Disney getting into the fight with Florida. I mean, Universal could have got in there as well. And they're just like, no, we're
like, no, we good.
They did not.
Keep yourself out, like concentrate, like focus on the things that you want to do. And I think this is what happens to a focused company. They have a vision where they want to go. And I think even if you're somebody who doesn't care about Universal, you're a Disney person, like I say, Walt Disney World, even in Disneyland. Having a strong second competitor is good. It forces you to do things that I don't believe that Disney would have built Galaxy's Edge. I don't think they would have built Pandora. I don't think they would have built Toy Story. None of these lands would be built if it wasn't for what the Wizarding Worlds did. Because I also talked to a guy that used to work at Universal, and obviously Disney had the chance to put in the Wizarding World. Well, not really the Wizarding World. They were going to put like a little section, I think, in the Little Mermaid area that was going to be sort of like just a kiddie ride in there. And Bob Iger, I think some of the words like told J.K. Rowling essentially something like, that's impossible, or that's not how this works. Then he was telling me how he was there the day that the Disney executives walked through Hogsmeade, and he's like, they were floored at what they saw. And I think that changed everything. Once you saw that immersiveness, they were just like, oh. And so even back in 2010, you've seen Disney change the way. So Universal's been making an impact on all the theme parks with the risks that they're taking. And some of the risks they're going to take are going to work out, some aren't, but that's also what you do as you're an up-and-comer.
Well, yeah, exactly. And that's the point of risk, right? Is some things will pan out and some things won't, but that's the point of taking risks, right? Mm-hmm. And I would rather these companies take risks and fall short occasionally than play it safe. Like I've said that before with Disney. I'd rather them swing for the fences and have a failure every now and then than just be safe and stale. Like that doesn't work. I mean, this is especially with Disney. This company was founded on this man doing everything everyone said he couldn't do.
Yep.
Like, oh, animated movie, no one's gonna watch that, right? And then Snow White, they do it. Oh, a theme park that's actually clean, no one's gonna go to that. They go, you know what I'm saying? Walt Disney was constantly pushing it. Maybe here she says, of course I came in while OG was talking about Nami. Now you know I love Nami. I actually got a great picture with Nami. The other two guys I couldn't care less about. You could tell. But
he's like, get these guys out of here.
I don't care.
Looking away like, hey, don't. I'm going to crop you guys out of this picture when I put it up at home.
Yeah, crop them out. But yeah, no, we love Maybe. She's awesome. But
anyway. I mean, I think it's just going to continue. Like none of this article was anything that I read. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. But it is interesting to see that and see that chart and really where that's trending. And I think if you're Universal, you got to be pretty happy about what you're doing. And, obviously we'll see how this continues to play out, but I'm going to be very curious whenever we get those T report numbers. Don't those usually come out in September, Vash?
Yeah, they usually come out right around August, September, something like that. It's going to be really interesting to see. Also, too, Universal's got to be really happy about their revenue trajectory as well. I mean, that's also been one of the big growth metrics for them, at least when you look at Comcast portfolio. Theme parks have really done a nice job in accruing so much revenue from that specific division right there. We'll have to see, like, if they jump into the cruise line game. I think that's another potential revenue driver for them. And also, too, they don't have nearly as many hotels and rooms and so forth that Disney benefits from. So there's a couple of different things that they can really do to really get those numbers up even further. Could be really interesting to see how they do that from a business standpoint.
Yeah, and I will say this too. I think D23 is both a blessing and a curse for Disney.
Yep.
I think I'm going to be there. I'll be there with Mr. Webba. Let's go. Shout out to Mr. Webba. He's my CFO and my senior VP at OG55. No, I'm kidding. No, but he's a good friend of mine. I love Webba. But we're going to be at D23. But like the D23 thing, I think is a great marketing tool for Disney. But at the same time, it also shackles Disney and forces them to announce things biannual. And a lot of times the desire in D23 of lies, the desire to announce something and get that crowd applause is great, but then it's like, now you got to actually do it though. Right. And that creative process we've seen with Universal, even they change their mind like every other week.
Oh gosh.
That's the problem when you announce at D23 and then like that creative process, you hit snags and problems, and now you got to change the project, and now you disappoint fans because now you promised this thing and now we're giving you that thing.
Yep. Well, and I think Universal changes their mind a lot, but they do it behind closed doors. Like you get told stuff, but they're not doing this publicly. They don't have a Comcast 23 or whatever it is. So I think that is an advantage Universal has, because by the time they do announce something, they're like, it's going to be here in a year and a half. And you can I've made this point many times. You can maintain excitement for that. When D23 comes around and you're like, all these things are coming, it's like, when are you going to see them? 5 to 7 years? It's like, you can't maintain excitement that long. And then they get the reverse end of the excitement, which turns into criticism. Because if you study something long enough, eventually you're going to find problems with it. And I think that also kind of
initial pieces of concept art and all of the things that go along with that, right? Yeah.
Then you got the back and forth on villains about, well, we're going to switch that. And then you're like, do you know what you're doing here? And like, who knows if that whole thing's true? But it's like, that's where I think a lot of the issues that Disney has is that the D23 thing that they're kind of stuck with. I guess they could get rid of it, but they would have a lot of backlash.
I think the healthiest thing we can do as a fandom, if I'm going to be completely honest, is to get totally, completely mentally married to every piece of concept art.
Fantastic.
If this is not exactly like the minute they showed Villains Land, I was like, that's cool. There's no way it looks like that.
Yeah.
Like none. Like you're not going to
remember Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah. Well, you also had Kathleen Kennedy decide at the last minute that Rey was the most important thing, but that's that's
she should have gone full Palpatine. I'm telling you, that would have been sick,
dude. Palpatine would be better. Although I will say, in what they need to do in Galaxy's Edge is also include the prequels. I think the fans would love Anakin walking around, and I don't care.
Darth Maul.
Wild how they have not done that yet. We'll see.
I know. It's
you got a show on Disney Plus with him. Why is he not in the parks?
That's true.
Well,
that's
like,
a great
if I was in a meeting and they're like, but the timeline, I'd be like, no offense, screw your timeline. Just let people have fun in the land. Like, just put in these characters. It doesn't have to make sense. Like,
or you have it on different days.
Well, yeah, and I made the argument you could do seasons too. You could have like, a prequel season, an OT season. I don't know if you do a sequel trilogy season, but you could change this up to do some stuff in there that they still can do.
Different times of days, you know, like
100%.
Yeah. I'm just happy overall that Hayden Christensen is finally getting the respect that he deserved years ago.
That's true.
Because I mean, he's everyone loves Hayden, dude. And then Freedom Seeker over here is trying to trigger me, Jared.
I mean,
well, that's assuming that's even coming at all.
Oh, see, now Vash has to make it even worse. See,
let's be honest. When they designed that whole concept back in like 15 years ago, by the time it's built, are you even going to remember it? I mean, you're going to be like, what is Avatar? Oh, yeah, that was that whole thing. I mean, there's a good chance that they're not even making Avatar movies whenever they do eventually, if they build that land, get it done.
It's the blue people over on the other side of Encanto.
Yeah, they're just going to be the other blue people that are there. Yeah, it's crazy stuff. All right, let's do one more story. We'll do this kind of quick. Vash and I talked about this on his stream, but I didn't get your guys' thoughts on this. And I want to know what you guys think about Carousel Progress is going to get some really big changes here.
Do you really want me to talk about this?
I do. I will get everybody caught up on this, and we'll dig into it. So there were rumors. Well, what they did announce that the Walt animatronic was going to be coming to this ride, and then there were some rumors that popped up. I think WDW Magic had reported about this might get a full overhaul, and then like 2 days later, they announced it was happening. So they are changing this ride from the ground up, essentially, and so it's going to have different eras. You're going to have the Walt animatronic and introducing the show. Then you're going to go into Act 1 is the 1960s. This is going to be around the moon landing. I mean, did it even happen? That's another side topic.
Wow.
Oh, damn. Jared coming in hot already, huh, dude?
I have no doubt. We went to the moon. I don't know if you had a phone call conversation with President Nixon. That's my whole sticking point. But anyways, we won't. That's for the conspiracy podcast. Okay, we're doing that one after dark. So Act 2 And that, but before you get into all the structures on the moon. But anyways, I've been watching way too much Y-Files. So, and then you go into Act 2.
But what about the Greys? What about the Greys?
Well, I mean, what about moon glass? You can't even.
What about lizard people? Let's keep going.
They could be there. I mean, there are theories that there are actual structures on the moon that they haven't visited on purpose. But listen, if I can point you to some interesting videos that have pointed out. I'm not saying I believe it. It's just interesting. So then you go to Act 2. You got the 1980s. There's going to be Halloween night. And this is going to be Sarah is going to be talking about all the new appliances and gadgets and so forth. And John is handing out trick-or-treat, candy to trick-or-treaters and things. Act 3 is going to be the New Year's Eve 1999. I'm sure they're going to probably hit Y2K, things like that.
Y2K.
And then Act 4, and this one I have some issues with potentially, is the possible future. So it's the distant future, not on Earth. You're off planet. You have a helpful robot assisting with everyday tasks to space travel, etc. And essentially, they're reworking this entire ride.
From whose perspective?
This has gotten a lot of interesting. Obviously, anytime you change something that has this much historical context to Disney, it's gotten a lot of reactions. My point, and Vash and I talked about this in his live stream, this ride was one of the last things Walt worked on. And we don't have much of that laying around anymore. What do you guys think about this on its face? Like, are you for it? Are you kind of hesitant? Because I'm kind of like, I can understand wanting to change this. I do like Vash's idea. I can't remember who initially said it. You take this currently as it is, put it in Disneyland to maintain it. But what are you guys' thoughts on the overhaul here?
That's what I was. I'm sorry. I'm going to cut in here because I'm really opinionated on this one. This is one of our favorite things to do at Disney. It's enjoyable, and the thing is, what I like, I get where it came from, where it started, where when it started, everybody had lived through it or knew someone that lived through these eras. But now they say, oh, because nobody alive can relate to it. I think that's why it's even more necessary,
right,
to be a historical piece of, it shows what times were before any of us were alive. And now just updating it to the times where people are alive, we're going to be like, that's not how it was. That's not how the 80s were. That's not, and our parents, that's not how the 60s were. And we're going to be like, that wasn't the 90s. And then you see potential future from whose perspective, whose version of it, whose idea of what it should be. And that's another problem. I think just leave it the way it is. Leave it as that time capsule so kids and families know the history of where we came from, the early ages of progress of technology. Why can't they just make like Vash was saying, take this and put it somewhere else, or make a carousel of progress too over at a different park?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I don't disagree necessarily, but like when Walt created this, a lot of those eras, people lived through those too, though,
right.
So I can see that. But the other thing too is I think as we move on, like as we move further and further, like, into the future, we only have so many spaces and stages for this carousel. I think eventually, I think this whole idea is meant to be updated. I think the whole concept of a carousel of progress is meant to evolve as we go on. I don't think Walt, and I don't want to speak for him, but I don't think Walt intended it to be like a museum piece. I think he wanted it to kind of evolve with the times. Now, starting with the 1960s, that is almost entirely because of the Walt animatronic. I can guarantee that, because that Walt animatronic is, you can see by the concept art, it's that Progress City, Epcot planning era, right? So he'll do a bunch of space talk, right?
But he doesn't technically even need to be in it. Like that opening scene where the curtain just lifts and you see the logo, that's where he's going to be. And then it shifts to the 60s. So I think they should just, if they're going to put him in right there, and then just update the rest in terms of better animatronics, clean everything up, make it look a little nicer, but leave it alone so people know where everything came from. They know Walt's true legacy. And that's the thing. They're just peeing on his legacy. That's how I feel.
I wonder what they're going to do. I'm very curious what they're going to do with some of these sets, right? Like, are they going to, we're probably not going to get a carousel progress out here in California. Unfortunately,
it's going to end up over here at Hope Thrift in Kissimmee.
Probably.
That's where everything is.
I will buy one if it ends up there. I will go get one and put it right here next to me and just have John sitting there.
Get one of those long back chairs that they have over in the
absolutely.
90s, 2000. All right, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Well, what's that one dude from? Oh God, I forgot his name now. Stamos.
Oh, John Stamos.
John Stamos.
Yeah,
He bought the Disneyland sign.
Yeah, it'll end up in his house almost certainly, right?
Yeah.
He'll
almost
outbid
certainly.
me too. Dang it. He's got Beach Boys money.
Yeah. Oh, he does. He does. Now, real quick too, before we go to Vash, I just want to say one more thing. The whole final scene, like on the other planet, I think is very interesting. People have said that the house doesn't look very futuristic. Now, I will have to push back on that a little bit, and I'll tell you why. Now, decades ago, the idea of the future was very space agey looking cities and flying cars. But as we're moving through the future, it really, our cities don't really look any different. People dress pretty much the same as they did 20 years ago.
Our houses look the same the last 40 years.
Right? They all look the same. If you took a picture of a house today compared to a house in the 70s, it's really not that much different. So what has changed is the smart technology. So we have AI, we got smartphones. It's more of like this intelligence of the tech that has really progressed. But the physicality and the aesthetics of the world we live in has not really changed that much. So that is actually pretty, like, I think this like scene right here that we're seeing is pretty spot on with what we might see in the future where, they live in normal kind of houses.
But what about the lizard people sharing their intel with us to build better houses? I mean,
exactly. Or the gray cooking their breakfast, right?
Okay, I'm gonna let Vash go. I just want to say I don't disagree with what you're saying. I think in theory this should be something that is updated. My whole issue is I just hope the Imagineers understand the gravity of this attraction. Like, you are literally touching something that Walt himself had a hand in. And I also will just say that robot in there, we already have Tesla bots that are like human sized. Who is going to have Herbie, a tiny little robot in like what far off distant future? That part, I'm like,
okay. That's who it was. That's what I was thinking. It's what's the robot from the Jetsons?
Rosie.
Yeah, it's Rosie.
Yeah,
100%, Logan. 100%. It's totally Rosie.
Yeah.
Just
sorry, Vash. What do you think?
With the vacuum, like right there.
It's kind of funny that OG, brought up the whole idea about homes not changing a whole lot in the last 40 years. He actually laid out the perfect reason as to why you shouldn't change this at all is because the decades that are looked at to be changed to, you have incrementalism, not progress. It's all these little changes that haven't changed our lives in a great deal, rather than the invention of electricity, modern plumbing, air conditioning, all these other things that are actually referenced right now in the Carousel of Progress are, real progress that changed people's lives for forever and changed the course of industry in general. So what Walt wanted before the Carousel of Progress wasn't Edison Square, was going over the invention of the first commercially viable light bulb from Thomas Edison, maybe even Tesla's in there as well. That's what he really wanted. And at the time that he was thinking of those concepts, that was back in the 1950s. I mean, you're over almost 80 years removed from those events where nobody was really living through that. That was going Disneyland at the time. Nobody lived through the sailing ship Columbia circumnavigating the globe at a time when the Columbia actually made its way into Disneyland. The Mark Twain was the first steamboat made by anybody in the last 80 years. So you already had things removed from the American public and from public consciousness and from the zeitgeist and from, really being relevant to anybody living that was featured in Disneyland. And I think the Carousel of Progress, if you're choosing decades or time periods in which really show the progress of humankind, perhaps you could have this distillation and these different choices of eras being featured right here. But I just don't think that we're getting a lot of that from the 60s to the 80s to the 90s, and that's why they've gone with this kind of possible futures to show some type of time jump and progress jump and everything else. But I just don't see us getting a whole lot of that. And look, I mean, Main Street, right? When Main Street opened, and this is the Logan's point. When Main Street opened, yes, there were people that actually went through that time period, saw the main streets in their hometowns and so forth, and went through that, and that's what made Disneyland special. As we get further away from a generation after having experienced that, right, Main Street doesn't get worse, it gets better over time, like Logan was saying. And I think Carousel Progress, if updated properly, could get better. And I'm not saying redone, I'm saying updated. New lights, new audio, or restored audio, right? New speakers, etc. I think this could keep this thing relevant. Now, again, this is the only thing in Walt Disney World actually worked on by Walt himself. Everything else is a derivative from Disneyland, basically, or its own creation. So I think this does have a little bit more historical relevance than some other attractions, which is why I'm a little bit partial to it. Something has to happen in this space. This is the option that they're choosing to go down. I just don't trust these Imagineers to do this ride justice. That's just me.
Now, Vash, I will say this. There is one thing that we are missing. They will be announcing at D23. This will be renamed to the Carousel of Incrementalism. So.
Perfect. Okay. Well, there you go. Big, beautiful tomorrow.
I'm gonna be disappointed they don't have
like just it did yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody's not talking about their AOL Messenger name in the 90s or something. That was a big deal in the 90s. Or
yeah,
Grandpa's talking about he's trolling people on the internet. I mean, that's the thing. I don't know if they did that back then or not, but there were chat rooms. You could probably get involved. But like, it's just I'm somewhat encouraged by the recent refurbs they've done. Those have been pretty good for the most part. So I think if you're looking at modern Imagineering, you're like, okay, those have been pretty good. My whole thing is like, if you do this and you get rid of these sets and this is not good, there's no going back. And I think on a ride like this that Walt himself worked on, that is the fear you have with this. And so I think Ben had pointed out, yeah, Walt said that, the parks aren't a museum, but a lot of times I feel like that is used as just like, well, they're not a museum, so we're just going to change it. Change for the sake of change is not necessarily better.
That's true.
If you have a better thing to come here, if you're going to do this right, then I guess show you can do that, but just changing it because you're like, well, these things are supposed to change. No. We've seen that before, and that doesn't necessarily mean better. So I think as long as like they need to understand the heritage of this, understand. I think this has been Disney's problem too with the Rivers of America, is not understanding where these things are with the fan base, like how much they actually cherish these things and treat them themselves, treating them with the respect. I feel like a lot of times the fan base is treating these things with more respect than Disney themselves is. And that's a problem to me.
Well, so, and you bring up a great point. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I know you bring up a fantastic point. Change for the sake of change is not good. Like, yeah, and that's the problem. There is nuance with these conversations, right? Where like Walt did say he wanted these places to evolve. At the same time, though, just nuking everything and just changing for the sake of change is not good either. So that's where like this kind of creative intelligence comes in on Disney's part to sort of figure out how to navigate that. Another thing too that I want to bring up, I don't think 80s Halloween is a coincidence. I would bet my car on this, that they're going to have these kids in Indiana Jones and Star Wars costumes for Halloween. You want to bet?
Probably.
I mean, look, they're already saying that they're going to feature pop culture references, Disney references in particular. They're already saying that. I mean, we might have pins in the 90s section right there. Some of the posters that are going to be in the daughter's room right there might feature some. They might feature some 80s reference points, specifically Disney related. And wouldn't surprise me, because I think you have to get licensing from other groups and so forth to feature some other stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a reference fest, which, by the way, I'm hearing maybe perhaps the same group that actually did the Country Bears is doing this one. So expect that.
As long as we get a TIE fighter in the window in the final scene, I'm happy.
Well, I'm sorry. I hate the new Country Bears. It's not country. It's barely bears. It's awful. It's awful.
Well, also, there's a whole backstory with me. Bears are monsters that hate happiness, and they will rip your face off. They're terrifying creatures that are straight from the devil. A bear in real life will kill you so quickly. They're too big and too fast. They don't make any sense. So I'm not a fan of bear propaganda where we have teddy bears like, oh, we can hug it. It'll kill you. Okay. It was developed by bears to get people to be like, oh, they're nice and furry. No, they're monsters.
Developed by Big Bear.
Yes, they're real big monsters. Okay. So I'm not a fan of making bears all
you're
happy.
not a big fan of Pooh?
I mean, he's a dumb bear, but I still don't trust him. I don't trust anything without pants, first off, and he doesn't have pants on. So
Donald?
I don't trust Donald. No, he's crazy.
Whoa, he's
always getting into problems. You look at those cartoons, Donald's always causing some issues. I mean,
he's Irish, of course.
I know. Listen, if I go without pants, I'm arrested. Okay, Donald apparently has leeway, but I would point that you're right.
Donald, I would not.
Like when Walt said progress, also Walt's version of progress, I think, is different than anybody else's version of progress that's ever probably lived. So coming at it his lens and his view of the world, I just don't trust modern Imagineering. Now, maybe they'll knock this out of the park. Maybe they'll do it justice. But I think that's the worry you have with this is like you're coming in here and tinkering with something that Walt himself worked on and thinking you're going to improve this. Yeah, I don't know. And I don't like self-referential stuff very much. Like you're going to feature Disney stuff. Like this ride didn't have that before for the most part. There might have been Easter eggs here and there, but I don't know. It also doesn't give to me a vision of like a hopeful future if you're off planet. It's like, are they going to be like, oh, Earth is gone. We have to go to Neptune now. And
Wait to leave Earth.
Yeah,
it got really bad.
We had a terraform Mars, right? You know?
Yeah, like it's just, where does this go? Like, oh, we talked to our cousin on Uranus and we're sitting here on Saturn. You're like, what? Like, what? You know, like that would be curious about that. But I mean, at this point, they're going to do what they're going to do. And all you can do is voice your opinion on it. I just hope they treat it with the respect it deserves. An ideally situation, you port this over to Disneyland. It still lives on over there, Walt's original park. And I do think there is something like with our kids, for instance, like the first time we went through this, Dar was like, oh, people like they didn't have running water. And like, no, they like you see the development of like what is modern life now going through those stages.
Right.
And I do think that's important. Like anytime my daughter complains, I'm like, you could not have running water, you know. And she's like, well, okay. Like, you know, you can do that with kids, but you know, that it's not, but I will say it's not like the biggest, you know, people aren't clamoring to get on this ride. So I understand probably why they want to refresh it, but
and we
great place to get out of the heat.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the benefit of this. That's the positive of this whole thing. I will say is that this cements this attraction to be around for decades now, right? We don't have it out here. I wish we had this attraction, you know, but Florida will have it now. They're investing quite a bit of money into this thing. So that's a positive, you know?
Yeah. And I agree with Ben here. He says, I'm for them changing it if it gains giving the ride a second life. But if they're just using this as an excuse to make the ride more one Disney, then yeah, that's crappy. I agree. And I think that's the thing here. It's like, we'll see what they do, but you're like, if you mess this up, there's no going back. And I think that's the thing that's unfortunate about this. If they actually do destroy some of these set pieces and things, like I want to know what they're going to do with it.
Yeah.
But
end up at Hope Thrift.
Yeah, probably.
It's just kind of disappointing that they picked so many different time periods and different spots in history that are already referenced in Spaceship Earth. That's another weird thing that's going on right now. I don't know. I do hope they do something with the original sets. I think it would be very, very cool to maintain those and so forth. Even if it's just like a walkthrough exhibit where you actually see those sets on display, I think it would be kind of a cool thing. We'll have to see what they do. I mean, these are going back to 64, you know, so we'll see.
Well, maybe they could put them somewhere along the, since they are getting rid of it, along the People Mover. What do you call it? What's that area?
Oh, are you talking in the Mr. Morrow area?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do stuff. I mean, that would be kind of cool if they did stuff like that to kind of maintain.
That'd be interesting. Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Because it's like half of that our People Mover, half of it's in the dark.
Right.
So why couldn't they do stuff with that? They've got some cool little things in there, but why? I think if they took out some of like the lady getting her hair done.
Right.
You can take that out and put some of the scenes or some of the animatronics or stuff like that in there instead of getting rid of it, ending up at some thrift store antique mall.
Yeah. Well, have you guys thought about, I mean, just what if we made People Mover into a roller coaster? Has anybody ever thought about that?
Something like a rocket?
Yeah, maybe.
Like a rocket, like a rocket rod kind of thing.
Yeah. And then it'll totally,
it'll
just go really fast.
vehicles.
It'll
Great.
It'll totally maintain for years.
I wonder why they never tried that.
They should, and what they should do, which would make it really cool, is don't bank the turns, so it has to slow down.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Yeah,
take all the fun out of it.
No onboard audio and lack of visuals entirely. I think this is a great concept.
Honestly,
this sounds great. Let's do it. Let's pitch it.
We can forego engineering checkups. We're fine. It'll totally work. There's no need to check it. Yeah.
It's already there. Everything's already built. The infrastructure's there. Just speed it up.
Fantastic.
By the way, this was the meeting they had when they made this decision. They're just like, yeah, that makes no sense. Just do it.
Oh boy.
Well, I mean, the internet has their opinions on this ride. We'll see what happens. I'm just one where at this point, it's like, my opinion on things, they're theme parks. I'm not going to take this stuff too seriously, but I do hate losing Walt stuff. And I think as we go along, Walt's presence is going to be less and less just because of just time. And there's very few things he had actually worked on himself. And so I think that's, I think that is something worth preserving in some way, whether that stays the attraction or something else. But
we have nothing touched by Walt at Walt Disney World.
Except this.
It's true. Now, Freedom Seeker here says Florida guys. Yeah,
not true.
Yeah, Florida guys twisting the DL. People were knife.
I couldn't help it. OG, I was like, I just couldn't help it. I know.
And Freedom Seeker, I'm a California guy, but I might be laughing on the outside, but I am crying on the inside. So don't let the laughter fool you. I am not okay inside.
You know what? I really feel like maybe I'll just go to Magic Kingdom tomorrow and ride the People Mover and then go home. Because I can do that.
Yeah. OG will call me middle of the night. Just you son of a bitch.
Take photos, video, and then send it to him. Hey, look what I'm doing. I call this our People Mover. You gonna ride that soon? Oh wait.
Yeah, but then whenever they get the Carousel of Progress with the original stuff, then it's just gonna get reversed on me and be like, touche.
Well, we're gonna be dead by then. Don't worry about that.
Or I can FaceTime you for Mr. Toad.
That's true.
You win.
It'll be a fun game to play.
That's the one.
I missed that one. God, I missed that ride. Memories.
Oh man! By the way, I totally forgot earlier. We had a $2 from XVoot. I didn't mean to exclude this XVoot. So XVoot's always donating.
Yes.
Appreciate XVoot. Said, evening, gentlemen. Looking forward to the stream. Well, I hope the stream was good for you. I hope it was good for you.
I hope it was as good for them as it was for us.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was a lot of fun, and it's coming up on midnight here. We're at the end of our topics here. There's plenty more topics, but we all have to go to bed at some point. But this was a lot of fun.
I'm going to the gym after this.
There you go. I like that. I like these late night workouts. I'm going to go to the gym too in my garage.
See, I have to drive down the street.
I'm not actually. I'm just going to go to bed. I lied. But before we get out of here, though,
let's see how time I get to work out. So
there you go. Yeah. We'll let everybody where to find you, good gentlemen, on the internet. So Orange Grove 55. Thank you as always for being here. Always a gracious panel member, co-host of the show. Where can everybody find you on the good old interwebs?
Yes, it was a great time with you fine gentlemen. Logan, first time talking shop with you, man. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate you, and I appreciate everybody in the chat that joined us tonight. You can find me here on YouTube, Orange Grove 55, talking theme parks, studio, moon landings, whatever you want to talk about. We got it. And you can also find me on Instagram, Orange Grove 55. You can also find me on X, where I'm learning the hard way not to talk about Star Wars on X.
The hard way not to talk about anything.
Like, I'm having a pretty good day here, and be like, you son of a bitch, my day's terrible. And you're like, I'm sorry. How was I supposed to know? Yeah. No, we do need to do another conspiracy one. Maybe the moon landing thing or the pyramids. I love that stuff. I will go down rabbit holes at night of like Y files, other things. I will send you the link, that one I'm talking about with the moon stuff. It is very interesting. I'll send it to you, man. Vash, if you wanted to. I'll send it to everybody. It's a good video to check out. But Mr. Vash Sky, thank you as always for being here. Now we didn't get to watch Vash, but we heard him from the great beyond. He was there the entire time, providing his good insights. And next time, I will make an AI version of Vash in a crystal ball if it doesn't work again, and we'll use that because I think it would add a really good ambiance to the stream. But thank you for being here. But where can everybody find you? And go check out ParkCast.
Best place to find me is going to be a Vash Sky ParkCast on that YouTube channel right there. We are talking about tomorrow. I gotta actually figure out the schedule right here. There's gonna be some overlapping topics, but I think it's gonna be really, really cool to go over some of that stuff. We did have an interesting event that actually happened last week. While we were actually live on Thursday, there was a 5-hour evacuation going on with the Iron Shark coaster over there at the Historic Pleasure Pier that we're going to be talking about right there. That was a very harrowing experience. Going over all of that, it's going to be very, very interesting. If you like your conspiracy theories and all of that, well, we just had an amazing conversation I had with Vixen there on Saturday. That's the members only live stream. Disney's foray into UFOs, and actually maybe doing a special on UFOs for their Tomorrowland series for the Disneyland television show. And Ward Kimball had some very interesting things to say about that and how the U.S. government, stopped them from actually doing that. If you want to go ahead and learn more about that, you want to turn to that show. That was last Saturday right there. This Saturday, I'm going to be talking about something to do with Tomorrowland, whether it's Carousel of Progress or something else. That's going to be really, really fun to go over. And Vash Sky ParkCast. That's where you can find me. Tomorrow's show, 2 o'clock Eastern, following that park play. So check us out.
Now, Vash, real quick. I don't want, because I know you're having tech issues. I don't want to put you on the spot, but maybe he's in the chat. She was a big fan of your Wastelands McCarthy. Are you able to do the voice?
Of Wastelands McCarthy. Let me see.
Are you able to do that? I know you're having some tech issues, but if you can.
Robust.
There you go. How about that? Huh?
There she is. We love it. We love it.
Absolutely.
Dude, they should have had like Arnold do that, because if Arnold tells people they're fat, they'd be like, "Well, you're like, your waist are too big, okay? You gotta stop eating so much." And they're like, "Okay." But if Christine McCarthy
you do that too well,
it's a problem. My wife's name is Jamie, so every time this thing, Jamie, come on! Like she asked me to do it randomly, so I can do it in spurts. I can't do conversational Arnold. It doesn't make any sense. It just turns.
Can you do a Kermit? Because I think we need a new Kermit.
Oh gosh,
we need a new Kermit.
Kermit Deep Frog here.
That's better than what we have now.
Get Logan on it. Come on, Matt Vogel.
Caribbean, amphibian. So
that's
where I kept singing that as a kid, and that's how I just started doing it. I'm like, oh, Caribbean amphibian. And
there you go.
There you go. You're hired. You're in. You're in.
And also, I can do.
But thank you, Logan, for being your first time on the live stream channel.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You go check out Logan at Red Bandana Gaming, talking all about gaming there. Where can they find you? What do you got coming up?
Red Bandana Gaming on, like I said, I'm mainly using Instagram. Here on YouTube, I will say my stuff isn't as interesting as Vash's. Of course not. Wow, I was like, man, I just got a couple of controllers and some Nintendo stuff coming out, and I'm like, I got GameSir controller and another Xbox controller, and I've got, that's it. And I'm like, wow, I'm reviewing some pretty cool controllers. No conspiracies, none of that fancy stuff. And I was like, we had an explosion here on the Space Coast. But what
about Big Controller though? You could go into Big Controller and how they're
into Big Control. Oh no! You don't get me down a rabbit hole, especially when it comes to Microsoft. I used to work for them, if you guys didn't know. So I've got a lot of stuff I could talk about that, but that's a completely different beast. Otherwise, nope. There's no podcast this week because I'm going to go see Masters of the Universe. Yes, I am going to go see it day it comes out.
Are you getting
the power?
Yeah, I have a big Masters of the Universe display over here. I'm a huge Motu fan, so my big things are Ninja Turtles, Motu, and Power Rangers.
Yeah, he has a lot of Ninja Turtles. It's pretty awesome. Are you going to get the sword you can drink out of, by the way? Yeah, that is cool.
Yes, I'm getting that. And like I was originally just going to get the Sipper sword and one of the maybe smaller popcorn buckets. My wife's like, no, you're not. You're going to regret it. We're just going to buy everything that they have. I'm like, what? She's like, because I don't want you to get home and go, I wish I got this. And we did that with Mortal Kombat. I bought everything the AMC. I had to go to Disney Springs to get all that Mortal Kombat stuff. But we're going to the Cinemark over at Universal because that's the closest movie theater that has all that stuff. And I'm just going to buy everything, and you're probably going to see a video on it.
So. Hey, you know what? I got to give a shout out to Logan's wife. She's like, you know what? Just buy it all.
That's a real one right there.
Well, it's because she knows she'll hear "I wish" the next day, and she don't want
It's
to
a
hear that.
preventative complaining of it. She's like, just get it now, so I don't have to listen to this later. Yeah, I get that.
Pretty much, because I'm like, oh, I should have got this. At least definitely going to get the sword.
I like that. I like that. I might get the sword too. But yeah, go check out Logan. He's good people over there, and I was over there last week. It was good. So yeah, but yeah, go. All these guys' info is going to be in the description on my stream, and if you're watching on the other streams, you can find me at Cap the Magic, where I sometimes do Arnold voices, not on videos too much. I would like to see Arnold, by the way, do like he's talking a conspiracy. He's like, "Did we even go to the moon? Okay, you can't even get to the radiation balance."
Maybe.
Yeah, Kermit knows. Okay,
With the pig. I went there with a pig once.
All right, we're gonna get out of here. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you right in the chat.
By the way, Kermit needs to get out of that relationship. Miss Piggy is completely abusive. I feel bad.
She's terrible.
Oh, she's terrible. She's the absolute worst.
Yeah,
she really is.
I think Arnold had a good quote. They asked him one time about smoking cigars. Like, what's your wife say? He's like, why would she? Yeah, I do what I want. And you're like, Kermit needs to take that one too. Just be like,
I'm surprised they didn't tell them to screw their freedoms there.
Yeah, true. Later Arnold isn't the best. I'm not gonna lie. Young Arnold is what I think of. Older Arnold, I'm like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? But anyways, all right, we're gonna get out of here. You guys have a good night. Have a great rest of your week, and we will see you guys later. Peace.